face to face with the key players shaping the future of our nation.
I lost over $10 million at the trade fair.
You had a fight with the management of trade fair?
I don't have a fight with them. I just deplore the way they went about what they did.
Let's talk about the chief prosecutor of the state at the time that you were being prosecuted, Godfrey Yeboah-Dame, the Attorney General.
Yes. I think he was directed to jail us.
By who?
By the system.
Boko has been a failure for your government, though.
Can't be a failure.
You have not solved it.
No, you are not praising them, the previous government for solving Yende, which was even a more difficult case.
It's quite obvious that from these votes, the people felt that let's just let you go.
So they were disappointed
in us.
You are essentially the worst government in the Fourth Republic.
I don't know how you are doing that. If you based on the indicators.
Yes, based on the number of people who refuse to come and vote for you.
If that is your analysis, then why not?
No filter, no boundaries, just the truth behind the headlines. Deep, bold, and unflinching. Face to Face with Umaru Sanda Amadou airs on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. only on Channel 1 TV, where politics gets real.
This week on the Upside Down Show, the untouchable DJ Mensa joins Frema Edinyame and Nana Tufo.
Did you have to compete for a session? What was it like back then?
It's not like today. It was, first of all, even to get the equipment is a problem. Yeah. I had to learn on the job because right after school, nobody was going to give me the equipment.
Yeah.
I had to buy my first equipment with a story. There was a DJ that came from the UK. At that time, it was aphrodisiac. He was, don't touch this until I come. Yeah. But I wanted to use it. He came and I was playing on set. Full house. He ejected
Are you serious?
the CDs out and threw them away.
Also featuring is Ash Benny, an energetic, vibrant musician.
With the rhythm of the music, everybody, make we party with the rhythm of the music. We go party.
Do you love magic? Join us as Manuel the Magician does his stuff. Make a date with us this Sunday at 7 p.m. prompt only on Channel 1 TV. In a world filled with challenges, we all need guidance, hope, and a lifeline to anchor us.
This is Lifeline, and I'm your host, Fred Crunchy Mensa.
From social issues, relationship challenges, and family matters, Lifeline is here to inspire, uplift, and guide you on your journey.
Where we give you support, where we hold your hand through the valley and through the thick and thins of life.
Join Bishop Fred Crunchy Mensa.
I welcome you especially to Lifeline.
Every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 p.m. right here on Channel 1 TV. Let's walk this path together, strengthen our faith, our families, and our lives. Lifeline, because every soul deserves a guiding light. Tune in to Lifeline on Channel 1 TV and let's grow together.
Looking for the latest buzz in Ghana's entertainment world? Welcome to Ghana Weekend, your ultimate destination for all things creativity and entertainment.
Stay in the loop with breaking news, exclusive interviews, and then insider stories from your favorite creatives and stars. From music, movies, fashion and art, lifestyle and culture, Ghana Weekend brings it all together. Get a daily dose of entertainment, discover new talents, and never miss out on the creativity that defines our vibrant culture.
Stay connected with us across all platforms. Follow us on Instagram with the handle Ghana Weekend, on X Ghana Weekend, on TikTok Ghana Weekend, at Ghana Weekend TV on YouTube for the latest in entertainment, travel, and everything Ghana. Don't miss out. Join the Ghana Weekend family today. Ghana Weekend, where entertainment meets creativity. Visit GhanaWeekend.com now.
Let's get into the world of sports like never before.
You know how we do it on Fridays.
Join us every Friday at 7 p.m. on 97.3 Citi FM for Sports Panorama, your ultimate destination for all things sports.
One of the biggest scandals in this country's history. You can't spend 250 million USD and come out with that.
From the thrill of association football to the excitement of basketball, tennis, athletics, and even emerging sports, we cover it all. Whether it's the Premier League or the latest NBA showdown, we bring you the stories behind the stars.
Getting an opportunity to become a national team coach, he should understand the politics around football.
And don't miss the prayer of the rabbi.
Joe Zabal. How Zabal there? Zabal won
We're not just about the games, we're about the community.
If you are going to be given this kind of treatment, then you need to be that guy. When I look at him play, he is not it.
Or when it's time for Don't Call Me.
Join
the conversation as we connect with fans across the country and beyond. Want the latest updates? Send us your thoughts and we'll feature your comments live on air. And remember, we like to hear your predictions for matches and your thoughts in general. Think you know who's going to win? Let us know.
Big shout outs to my YouTube people.
Tune in every Friday at 7 p.m. only on 97.3 Citi FM. Sports Panorama, where sports come alive. Sports Panorama, your weekly sports fix. Don't miss out on the action. Sports Panorama, catch the excitement every Friday.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to The Big Issue. The Big Issue is live on 97.3 Citi FM. We are live on Channel 1 Television and on our socials. We're on YouTube and on Twitter as well. My name is Selorm Adonoo. This morning, we are looking at two key issues, which are both legal in nature. One has to do with the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Bernard Enchibosia, popularly known as Chairman Wontumi. He was arrested earlier in the week, and he's still not gone home. He's still not gone home because he was arrested, detained but bailed, and he's not been able to meet his bail conditions. There's been a number of issues about the nature of the bail conditions. Is to present two sureties and justify, 250 million CD bail with two sureties to justify. And this has been a matter of major discussion. The discussion that the bail bonds appear very harsh and that Mr. Wontumi is unable to meet the bail conditions. In essence, you grant him bail, but you give him very harsh conditions. He's unable to meet the bail conditions. So it makes no point or makes nonsense of the bail. That is the argument from one side. The other side says, given the nature of accusations against him or allegations, the bail conditions are apt, and Mr. Wontumi should be able to meet the bail conditions. Is it a demand for accountability or is political persecution, as some have opined? We also look at the removal of the CJ. The CJ was in court this week to seek an injunction against the process. That injunction application was dismissed. She had earlier filed a supplementary affidavit. That supplementary affidavit was also struck out. The AG also wanted the names of the committee members disjoined from the case, but the Supreme Court also dismissed that preliminary legal objection that the AG had raised. a number of things have come up. The CJ says in her struck out supplementary affidavit that she does not feel the process is fair and that the whole process makes mockery of justice. She enumerates a number of issues regarding the venue of the committee hearing. She said it's been held, contrary to what has happened in the past, at a very highly security location, that is the Osu Castle. She says that the place is a security zone, and then her body was subjected to searches, and her family was also refused access into the committee room. We'll look at all of this and see if indeed she has a case. Is the process fair or not? Has any rule been broken? Is Article 146 not the operative rule or operative provision in this? Has anything gone wrong? Is there a way we can do this better to meet the CJ halfway? Do you think that a family should have been allowed into the committee room, given that the Constitution says that the proceedings should be in camera? We will look at all of that this morning. The show is live and interactive as always. You can join us via WhatsApp line that will be displayed on your screen, and we'll be happy to read those comments to the rest of the world. My name is Selorm Adonoo. I'll take a short break. I'll return, provide some updates, introduce my guests, and we'll get the discussion underway. Once again, this is a big issue. You're welcome.
This June, the business wave is back and it's bigger than ever. The Citi Business Festival 2025 on Citi FM and Channel One TV, where it's all about business. This June, we will be celebrating Ghanaian businesses, re-examining our business modules and practices through our business fora, and sharing knowledge through our on-air business discussions. Make a business date with the on-air series every weekday at 9 a.m. on the Citi Breakfast Show on 97.3 Citi FM and 10 a.m. on Breakfast Daily on Channel One TV. From expert interviews to real-world insights to the tools you need to grow. Don't miss a single moment this June. It's the Citi Business Festival 2025, celebrating everything business. Only on Citi FM and Channel One TV. Your business, your future, your time is now. Stay tuned, stay inspired, and let's grow together. The Citi Business Festival 2025, celebrating everything business.
The Citi Business Festival 2025 is powered by 97.3 Citi FM and Channel One TV, and it's proudly sponsored by Absa Bank, MTN Business, and Zonda Tech Ghana Limited.
Where politics meets power, where the tough questions are asked. Welcome to Face to Face. Every Tuesday at 9 p.m., join Umaru Sanda Amadou as he takes you face to face with the key players shaping the future of our nation.
I lost over $10 million at the trade fair.
You had a fight with the management of trade fair?
I don't have a fight with them. I just deplore the way they went about what they did.
Let's talk about the chief prosecutor of the state at the time that you were being prosecuted, Wontumi Adonoo, the Attorney General.
Yes. I think he was directed to jailers.
By who?
By the system.
Boko has been a failure for your government, though.
Can't be a failure.
You have not solved it.
No, you are not praising them, the previous government for solving Yendi, which was even a more difficult case.
It's quite obvious that from these votes, the people felt that let's just let you go.
So they were disappointed
in us.
You are essentially the worst government in the Fourth Republic.
I don't know how you are doing that. If you based on the indicators.
Yes, based on the number of people who refuse to come and vote for you.
If that is your analysis, then why not?
No filter, no boundaries, just the truth behind the headlines. Deep, bold, and unflinching. Face to Face with Umaru Sanda Amadou airs on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. only on Channel One TV, where politics gets real.
You're welcome back. This is The Big Issue on 97.3 Citi FM and on Channel 1 Television. My name is Selorm Adonoo. Two key issues we are looking at today. The week has been one where Mr. Wontumi or Mr. Entry Bosiakun, a.k.a. Chairman Wontumi, Ashanti Regional Chairman of the MPP, has been in some form of custody. He initially was called to the CID. He finished his work, was made to report. Just after leaving the CID, he was then picked up by IOCO on some other matters that we learned of later. He was at IOCO. IOCO granted him bail to the tune of 50 million Ghana cedis with two sureties to justify. And that has been the issue. He's been unable to meet the bail conditions since, and so he's been in the custody of IOCO. A number of things have been done now. Minority left Parliament, walked from Parliament House to IOCO to see if they could get him released or discharged. That didn't happen. They sat on the floor. They did all manner of things to draw attention to themselves and the process or the situation. That didn't help. The following day, they said they were going to stay there for a while. They left very late in the night. And then Dr. Bawumia also yesterday, with a number of other party elders or party functionaries, went to the NIB at Rage. Before he went there, there were party people who massed up at the place because they had heard that Mr. Wontumi had been moved from IOCO to the NIB. So the vice president was there, met with the people. They allowed him entry or access to the place. He met with some officials of the NIB only to find out that Wontumi wasn't there. He said he was disappointed he could not meet Mr. Wontumi. And so he said the processes will continue and they will do their best to get him out. Of course, his lawyer has also been speaking. His lawyer says that as of 8 p.m. yesterday, the officials were still at work and they were working on the processes to get him out. That didn't happen. It does appear they will continue on Monday, which means that Mr. Wontumi may have to be there till Monday. We'll look at all of that. Is a bail condition too onerous, or that is just the way to go? And can't the bail conditions that the CID, the bail conditions given by the CID, can't we transfer that to the IOCO so that, I mean, the same bail conditions apply here? My guest will explain that. And a number of things. The show is live and interactive. You can join us via WhatsApp line 020-444-7033 or 0549986996. Also, the CJ has been in the news. She was in court this week to seek an injunction on the process of her removal. You know, the committee has begun work. She wanted to injunct the committee from working because she said she had filed a writ and she wanted a writ determined before the committee could proceed with the work. She sued the AG and sued all members of the committee. That application was dismissed, and interesting revelations contained in her supplementary affidavit, which was struck out by the court for revealing too much for a process that's supposed to be in camera. She alleges that the process has been unfair to her. She also alleges that her body was searched and her family was denied entry into the committee room, amongst other things. She has issues with the venue of the committee sitting. She says it's been held at the security zone when on previous occasions such hearings have been at the judicial facility. She doesn't understand why it should be held at the castle. We'll look at all of that this morning, but let me provide you a quick update on the Wontumi matter, which we start with. So yesterday, as I did indicate, Dr. Bawumia, together with a few others, including Minority Leader Alexander Afenyimakin, were unsuccessful in their attempt to have access to Mr. Wontumi. This is a short report from my colleague Fred Duho.
Bernard Enchibosiakon, the Ashanti Regional Chairman, was arrested by security operatives from IOCO on Tuesday and interrogated over allegations of money laundering and other related offences. He was granted bail of 50 million Ghana cedis with two sureties who must own landed properties in Accra. However, the case has dragged on into its fourth day as Chairman Wontumi was relocated from IOCO custody to NIB detention. Party supporters gathered in large numbers outside the NIB to protest and hoped that the intervention of former Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia would secure his release. Following discussions with NIB officials, Dr. Baumia expressed disappointment after being denied access to Chairman Wontumi.
50 million Ghana is very onerous. I don't know how many people in Ghana can have property with 50 million Ghana cedis. I believe that this was just said to prevent release. We are going to follow the due process, the legal process, to make sure that he's released as soon as possible. I want to plead with all of you to remain calm as we work behind the scenes to make sure that he is out. I believe that we will be successful, but we have to be calm and not take the law into our own hands. I think it's very important that we follow due process and make sure that Chairman Wontumi is released safe and sound.
The minority.
All right, so that's Dr. Baumia at the NIB facility yesterday. He couldn't see him because the gentleman was not there. He said he'll continue to push. And earlier we heard that he was leading some efforts to help meet the bail conditions. Earlier we had also seen some effort by Kennedy in Japan. We don't know how all of these are playing out. But what is clear is that Mr. Enchibosia Wontumi is still with the security agencies. And earlier in the week or so, he had been taken ill, and we hope he's doing well now. My guest for this morning, Professor Kojo Apieje Tua, law professor at the University of Ghana School of Law, the Honorable Isaac Boama Nyako, Member of Parliament for the Ifya constituency, is a legal practitioner as well. Hamza Suhini is a member of the NDC legal team, which means he's a private legal practitioner as well. Richard Kumado is a security consultant, and Franklin Kujo, President Imani Africa. Gentlemen, I'll start off with the professor who is on Zoom quickly. Hello, Prof. Good morning. Welcome to the program. You've been observing this in the week in respect of Mr. Wontumi. You've taught the law, you've taught human rights, you've taught a lot of things. Is there anything wrong with the process with Mr. Wontumi as we are seeing? No law, as far as we hear, has been broken yet. He was picked up with a warrant, we understand. He was interrogated. His lawyers applied for bail. He was given bail pending investigations, or bail pending investigation. And he has to meet the bail conditions. He's been unable to meet the bail conditions. Has there been anything wrong with this process as far as the law is concerned, sir?
Thank you for having me. I would like to begin from how he was arrested. And I think from that angle, I see a situation where you can talk about some possible rights violations against Mr. Boesiakun, because the so-called Rambo-style approach, which was used to ambush him in the middle of the road and so on, to take him to Yoko, excuse me, was not justified. It wasn't necessary for Yoko to have done that, because previously he himself had accepted an invitation to come to the CRD and so on. Having said that, if you come to look at the bail process itself, I don't see anything wrong done by Yoko, because for the fact that, first of all, bail is a right that every citizen and resident is entitled to. And he was accorded that right by within the 48 hours that's when he was arrested. But then the next step is the bail conditions. And we know that under the bail condition, it is dependent on the case, or it is determined on a case-by-case basis. Every case and the accused person or the suspect involved will determine how the security agency under whose custody he is will determine the bail conditions. And there is some discretion for the particular security agency to determine based on the conditions that whether, for example, the person is a flight risk, whether the person may reoffend, whether the person may interfere with the investigations, or whether in the previous situation the person was granted bail but went to reoffend. And then the other part is the nature
Professor Pioje's line is frozen. Well, we will get back to Prof. He was in the middle of making a point in respect of the determination of the bail conditions. Well, I come in studio and speak to Honorable Isaac Boama Nyako, so that when Prof's line gets better, we would. Okay, Prof is back. Prof, sorry, we lost you briefly. Your line went off a bit. So if you could continue from where you
I'm sorry. Okay, so I was talking about the bail conditions and the fact that each security agency under whose custody a person is arrested has some discretion to determine what bail conditions to slap on the person who is under investigation. And so some of the issues they look at is whether the person is a flight risk, whether the person has the nature of his criminal record, whether he may interfere with the investigations, whether he's likely to reoffend, or whether in a previous bail given him, he offended when he was on bail, and so on. And also the amount to determine what the surety, the amount that he has to, not to be used for to determine the surety. It's also dependent on probably the amount of money that is alleged to is connected to the crime that is alleged to have committed, or the complexity of the offense, and so on. So in this case, we see a situation of money laundering and other allegations being leveled against him, and also connected with probably the Galamsey issue. So to me, it's a serious offense, and I understand the amount that he's alleged to have, he's alleged to be involved in is about 500 million cedis or dollars, I'm not too sure. So in that sense, I'm not sure the 50 million cedis that is part of the bail conditions is too onerous. And so in that respect, I don't see anything wrong done by Iyoko in that respect. Of course, the law says that you're entitled to bail, but it shouldn't be too burdensome, or it shouldn't make it too difficult for the person to be able to come under bail. But at the same time, the law also says that it shouldn't be done in such a way that the person may escape from justice or violate any law when the bail is not appropriate for, the bail conditions are not appropriate with respect to his particular case. So the law goes on to say that in order not to violate the right of a person to bail, if it is considered to be too onerous, there is a process, and the process is to go to courts, the high courts, for the court to review and to vary the bail conditions. And so these are the legal processes involved, which one would have expected that the NPP team would have followed. And that is where I fault the steps that they took, the extra legal steps that they took, leaving Parliament to go to sit down on the floor at Iyoko and so on. I think it was needless, and it was just to create some drama and to create attention, which in the end would have led to breeding some form of lawlessness. And indeed, some lawlessness occurred, considering that, for example, a journalist was assaulted. And so this is why there should be the need to follow the rules of the law. And these MPs are lawyers, or most of them, they know the rules. They've done that before. And so I don't know why in this particular context, they decided to choose that route, which creates the perception that they want to politicize the situation, because the legal rules are there. Why not follow it instead of all the drama that they brought into the picture?
Well, I see. Of course, a lot of the persons who have spoken from the MPP said that the process is a political one, not necessarily legal, because of the personality involved and what is done in the past, and the subtle promise to show him where power lies, quote unquote. And so there should be a political solution to it as well, as the legal side is being pursued. So what they did in Parliament, marching to the place, etc., was indicative of that political solution, quote unquote, to raise awareness for people to see that, what is happening has a political twist and that, the party as a body was behind it. So that solidarity in politics is quite crucial, is it not?
Well, there is politics in everything, but it's about a question of degree. My take on this political approach is that I interpret it as probably the fact that the NPP is still waking up slowly to realize that it is no more in power. And so coming to grips with that reality seems to be haunting the NPP. And so the steps that they are taking is like they want to still prove that they are on the side of their people and they want to fight for them. And we also want to consider the fact that this person, Mr. Njibo Esiakon, is an influential figure in the NPP. And by the nature of the charges laid against him, they feel that there's a sort of witch hunt. On the part of the NDC, they also want to see some political twist to it in the sense that they also want to show that they are now in power. That's why I was condemning the approach they adopted to arrest Mr. Njibo Esiakon. But when it comes to the bail issue itself, it looks to me that Yoko is working within the law. And there's also a legal solution to the problem. And that is where I think the approach that the NPP should have adopted, because the route that they took, the political approach that they took, probably they should have done the two together. But thinking that they can just use force or use the strategy of going to the place, it's a form of peaceful assembly. But it led to some lawlessness being committed. And they even had to come out to apologize and so on. And I think they went a little bit too far. They went to the extent of creating drama out of it in order just to heighten some political tension in the country, which I think was needless. So much as they want to make a political statement out of this, they should recognize that they have to work within the law, and they should also measure the political approach so that it doesn't spill out of control.
Yes, but they are an opposition party, are they not? So, for example, if they hadn't done all of that, you condemn the manner in which he was picked up after the meeting with the CID. Perhaps if they hadn't made all the noise as we saw them do, we wouldn't have even known that that was how he was picked up for us to decide whether that was appropriate or not. So that is yielding some fruit. And they may want to say so or do so people know that perhaps the government is not doing it right, which in the end has political consequences, chipping away the goodwill of the government in respect of this. So it's part of a political solution, if you like, to this problem and to other ones that may come in the future. And I'm sure by the way they have handled it next time, if the security agencies are going to pick up somebody, they'll be mindful of the repercussions of that. And so they'll be careful. Shouldn't that be how we look at it, rather?
My point remains that the whole thing was over-dramatized. And at the end of the day, it wasn't helpful to the security of the state. And because here's a situation where the issue shifted from the nature of the arrests, which we certainly condemn because it's been one too many since the NDP came to power. All the attempts to deal with arrests and inviting people have been missteps, which are condemnable. But dealing with the particular issue of the bail condition, I think they overstepped their bounds. We want to make sure, I think what we also need to understand is that the NPP felt too comfortable when they were in power. They were able to capture the states, a number of the state apparatuses that were available. And so it created a situation of comfort. And they created a comfort zone where if they wanted to do anything, they could do it. For example, if you consider the fact that the entry Bosiaku issue is not the first time that we are hearing of it. Last year, through the work of Erastus Asare Donko and others, it came out clearly that he was doing some work in the forest which violated the laws relating to how to mine and prospect for mining and so on, not to enter into forest reserves and mine over there and all those things. But what did we see from the IGP then? It was just a slap on the wrist. There wasn't any serious attempt. Martin Pebu and others had to go and had knock on the door of the IGP to intervene, and nothing happened. So we are in a new regime. Things have changed, and so they are not able to come to grasp with the fact that this is how the law should be followed, and trying to use this as a means of doing political equalization and so on, it doesn't help at all. I think they have to come to the realities that the law has to work, and the law is no respecter of persons. They did that under their regime to protect their own, but it shouldn't continue. And I reminded of what Mr. Fenemakin, the Honorable Member of Parliament and the Leader of the Minority, said, do unto us what should be done unto you, or something like that. So that it should not be the way things should be done. If they did so to protect their own, it doesn't mean that they worked within the law. There were a lot of violations of legal processes that took place. And so the law should be allowed to work. And that's the attempt to deal with it through a political means, I don't think is the way to go.
Very well. Thanks so much. That's Prof. Apijetua of the University of Ghana. Let me come to you. You guys have been massing up at the NIB. We saw you on TV yesterday, very frustrated by the system and speaking a lot of law in a political setting. Tell us, we read that Mr. Wontumi, Mr. Entry Bosiaku has met the bail conditions. Has he met it? What's the situation now?
All right, thank you very much, Selorm, and a very good morning to our cherished viewers, and particularly the people of the Western Region and Ifia constituency. And a good morning to my brother here with me, Hamza, and to everybody. Of course, according to the information we received from the Council of Chairman Wontumi, all the bail requirements as at yesterday evening are supposed to have been met. That is the amount of 50 million. There are other matters that have come up this morning in terms of the ability of the NIB or Yoko to go and confirm the properties and also to clarify and also validate them to enable him get his liberties. As well, we were told of the application that had been filed by Nimako and partners seeking the court to revise or vary the bail conditions as granted by Yoko. So you have all of these at play. But before we look into all that, I want to...
But given that the bail conditions have been met, doesn't that make that application moot?
Yeah, of course. But as Professor Apiej was saying, you couldn't just do the politics without the legal. So prior to the conditions being met, we had to take legal steps to see if they could get the variation. So once the conditions have been met, of course, it makes the application moot. And that is why we're looking forward to either withdrawing the application on Monday so that the rest of the matters
But I think that the point Prof makes is, so for example, once the bail condition was imposed, and you knew right from there that it was going to be difficult, quickly you have to run to court so that maybe you seek a very close date or a close date to move the application and see if the court will help vary the conditions. I mean, I don't know when this was filed, but it does appear to have filed like yesterday or something. And that's a bit too late in the day.
No, so you take it from when he was arrested. He was arrested on Tuesday evening, and then he was under interrogation on Wednesday. And so it was late Wednesday to Thursday that the bail was supposedly given. And so normally when you are being granted bail, of course, by any of the security agencies, you have a right to discuss the bail conditions with them. So if I go to police station for investigation and the police want to grant me that self-recognizance bail or ask me to get someone to bail me, they can normally state the amount they want you to be bailed. And then you could negotiate with them for some variation at that level. It is only when it fails, then you have to escalate it to the court for a variation. So if you take it from when the bail was placed on him, and then the negotiations that had to go through on Thursday, it was Friday, between Thursday and Friday, that it became very apparent that the state security apparatus were not ready to vary those conditions, and that necessitated the need to then go to court.
So do we know what exactly he is being held for as we speak?
We've seen or heard the Deputy Attorney General making some commentary around it. He's talking about investigations on money laundering. He's talking about some organized crime, suspicion. He's talking about his business activities. It's all so complicated and not clear. And that is where we have a problem as a minority in Parliament. Because once he's been picked up for investigation, the offense that he's being investigated upon should be clearly defined before you even pick him up. And then once you pick him up, he should clearly be told the charges that he's being investigated on. And then also...
Perhaps he's been told, but we do not know.
Oh, we know these are the matters before us. So what I'm saying is that it takes time for the state to run its investigations. And so charging someone or saying that you are investigating somebody on various angles is very much within the remit of the security agencies. But telling me is one thing, and establishing the fact that I'm culpable or you have a case to send to court is another thing. And that is why in the mind of the framers of our laws, they deemed it necessary that if someone is being investigated, that person should be entitled to bail. And bail granting shouldn't be punitive, shouldn't be used as a measure to punish someone or not giving the person the right to get his liberties. And so I agree with some of the submissions by my elder brother, Prof. IPJ, that it depends on the circumstances and the amount involved and the reasoning of the investigative body to determine what the bail conditions should be. And so for him, he stated an amount of around 500 million. This is the first time I'm hearing any figure around what exactly he's being confronted with, because not from the state officially, neither from the Attorney General's department. So I'm wondering where Prof got his information from. But suffice to say, if that is really the case, of course, you can place a bail on the person. But why are we granting bail? The measure for granting or giving someone bail is to allow the person to avail himself for trial. Nothing more than that, because it's not the bail that is going to pay for the conviction. The bail is only to provide some sureties to the state that in case the person is not available, then we can fall on the bail condition. So
the bail condition then should be good enough.
Yes.
So that in case the person is unable to come.
But that is why would the person not come? That is why you look at.
We do not know.
Oh no, please. He is not like the woman who said who ran away from the jurisdiction. Chairman Wontumi availed himself for investigation.
No, we never knew Sedina was going to also abscond. We never knew.
Sedina absconded earlier before the issues could even be completed. Then we have the President of the Republic in, and he has not gone to bring her back. So there are so many things this government is doing that doesn't accord to some
in your view,
reasoning.
You think the bail condition is onerous? I mean, its caliber and the the circumstances we're confronted. Of course, we will hear that this is even wider than we think. There's a wider net. We hear a businessman who's a car dealer has also been picked up in connection with this. Some issues about certain cars brought into the country, not properly procured and all of that with the US agencies and all of that happening. So that perhaps explains what the Deputy Attorney General says, that it's a wider net with international matters, money laundering, fraud, etc. We do not know the full extent of that. Maybe we will know a bit later. But is it your view that the bail condition is too onerous?
Oh, that had been the position of the minority in Parliament, because as I was explaining, the main reason why you are granting bail is because you want the person to avail himself for both investigation and possible trial. So if the person's abode is known, if the person is not a flight risk, if there are certain sureties or guarantees that the person would avail himself for trial, and he has shown by the time he was invited by the CID, he voluntarily visited the CID office to be interrogated. And then that was why even picking him up with those Rambo-style approach, like Prof said, was completely needless for the democracy that we are building. You only need to invite him. So if he had been invited and he had gone to the Yoko, all these panic situations that we are seeing wouldn't have amounted to. So people are talking about the bail conditions because they are combining the nature of arrest vis-a-vis the amount involved in the bail. And people are reading into it, and I verily believe same to be true, that it is just an attempt to keep him in custody, to show him where power lies, to let people understand that there's a change of power. Power now is in the hands of them, and they decide to pick and choose how they are going to exercise that power. And that for me is very unfortunate.
Given the same parity of reasoning, we saw in 2012 the case of Alfred Agbesi Woyomi.
Yes.
He was granted bail in the sum of 54 million cedis with two sureties.
Yes.
Way back in 2012.
Yes.
We're in 2025. Things have happened in the economy, money has lost value, etc. So if Chairman Wontumi, and Woyomi's matter was just around 51 million.
Yes.
He was granted bail to the tune of 54 million in 2012.
Yes.
12, 13 years on, perhaps with a bigger thing. And Wontumi is granted bail to the tune of 50 million, which is less than the 54 million. Why are we crying? Why are we crying so much when in 2012 the same voice crying never said anything about this?
No,
and it's the same institutions doing their work, consistency.
No, so in the case of Alfred Agbesi Woyomi, his bail was placed on him by the court, not by Yoko.
Not by Yoko.
Yes, so that was why we of the view that when they arrested him, if they had taken him to court the next day, within the 48 hours, these issues would have been within the confines of court, and they would have raised all the matters before the court, and then the court would be seized with some information.
Are you sure that if the court has placed a bail condition of 54 or 50 million on him, same as Yoko has done, you didn't have had the same issues you're raising today?
No, that one, the issue will be seized in court, and you could now use the same court processes. But here's the case we're saying, that what is the justification for the bail condition of 50 million?
We are not
pending investigation of what amount involved, like Prof said. To determine bail, you are looking at various circumstances. We are not seized with the facts, but by the little information that is available to us, I am not convinced. That is personally, and I speak also on behalf of the minority in Parliament, that seized with the information as lawyers that we have, and the statement that the state has thrown out there from the Deputy Attorney General, nothing suggests that the amount involved and the bail condition that is placed on him are consistent with the information available to us. So, if the issues had been taken to court, and the court is seized with those facts, it is not Yoko then that will impose the 50 or 54 million. So in the case of Alfred Woyomi, when the court imposed the 54 million, Woyomi's counsels knew, they were equal. It was the court that placed the thing. And so they, looking at all the facts before them, thought that, okay, we have the capacity to mobilize the resources to grant him bail. It took him about 2-3 days to secure the bail conditions, and then he left. So the facts are not the same in this circumstance. And I believe that if Wontumi had been taken to court on Wednesday, if Iyoko, having arrested him, and before they would have arrested him, they should have been seized with some preliminary information that was good enough to at least present the person before the court and either ask for him to be remanded or grant him the bail. And then if the court has placed the bail, nobody, I don't think anybody in Ghana, including us as lawyers and of the minority, would have marched to the Court of Appeal or to High Court and say that we are demonstrating or we are picketing because a court have placed a bail of 50 million on Chairman Wontumi.
We'll test the appropriateness of your march to Iyoko and all of that in due course. But Hamza, welcome to the program. People think that this is show of power. Let's show him where the power lies. The manner in which he was picked up, for example, people thought it was needless. You invited a man to CID. He came, reported again the following day, just when he was leaving. Then, in what has become known as a Rambo style, you pick him up, and here, this is where we are. Very difficult, onerous bail conditions, many have said. Why couldn't we do this in a more, why couldn't we do this in a neater fashion, rather than doing all of this and having people talk and all of that?
Good morning to you, Selorm, and of course, my senior in the studios, Honorable, and our cherished viewers out there. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. I hope I get it back along the way.
You're speaking so much on this matter.
You see, first of all, it is important to understand that whatever action Iyoko seemed to be taking is clearly in tandem with its mandate. Selorm, it is important to avert your mind to the Iyoko Act and the underlying objective of that particular act, which states clearly that one, it is to prevent and detect crime, and most importantly, do everything within the legal limits of this country to ensure that it generally retrieves the proceeds of crime. Now, under the same act, under Section 18, Iyoko is given the police powers of arrest. What it simply means is that it can exercise the power to arrest without a warrant, like the police are permitted to do under our criminal code. We cannot sit here and determine the methodology to adopt, whether to go by a warrant or to arrest without a warrant for Iyoko to go by, because they have been the ones carrying out those investigations. I am told for about 2 weeks now, they have been trailing him. What the CID did was not in any way connected to that of the Iyoko investigations. Remember, not long ago, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources gave a directive for our contact mining licenses to be withdrawn, and also made recommendations that certain issues regarding illegal mining be referred to the police CID for onward action. So they are dealing with that aspect of Wontumi's engagement or bluff with the law. Iyoko is engaged in these investigations, like I indicated, for about 2-3 weeks now. Selorm, the reality is that when it comes to the necessity, determining the necessity of the style of arrest, I think that we must give our state agencies that needed respect and appreciate that they know when to exercise the manner in which they want to exercise it when it comes to arrest. So for me, I do not think that this labeling of the arrest as Rambo style necessarily makes it Rambo style arrest. You know it is legal, because I'm yet to listen to any, if you like, commentary that seeks to suggest that there was a breach of the law as far as that style of arrest is concerned. We see it daily basis on our roads. People are picked up.
Yes, but Harry, Hamza, the point really is that did it have to be like that? There may be nothing wrong with that.
You see, but that is the point I'm making.
But did it have to be like that? You invited the person came.
CID invited the person.
Yes, and he came. Which meant that he was in the system and amenable to responding to invitations. Yeah. So what stopped the Iyoko, for example, for also extending an invitation to him?
That is why I read.
there were other people involved, non-political people, and they were invited or picked up in the more, I won't call it civil, but in tidier circumstances, and they are cooperating, as far as we know. The drama and all of that is what people are raising issues about, and it's a political figure. It's a politically exposed person. You will not rule out the fact that people may want to take political advantage of this from your side and from his side to make their case. And do we need that now? That's the question.
It is not about a question of needing it. It is about the question of how necessary that was to the investigations of EOCO. And that's why I had cause to read the second objective of EOCO, generally to retrieve the proceeds of crime, even in the process of investigations. So that is why I'm saying that we must give them that needed attention. And I appreciate that sometimes it may not just be to show political power or muscle. It could be in tandem with that overall objective of EOCO. Because in the process of the arrest, we are not privy to the kind of information that they had access to as officials of EOCO. And what possibly they even intended or were tracing to that stage of arrest.
At that material moment.
At that material. You are talking about cars today. And the fact that we have our international partners engaged in it. So that is why I'm saying that we are seated here. They are seized with the information and they know what they are going after and don't know when to effect an arrest that would put them in a position to even be able to adduce certain evidence later in the case as a result of that manner of arrest. So to the extent that the arrest cannot be deemed illegal, let us give them that respect and confidence when it comes to their operations. That is my first submission on the issue. But you see, I can understand the discomfort when it comes to the possibility of the fact that maybe people are pushing this because they want to show Wontumi where power lies. Because, like you indicated, many of our officials in the past were subjected to that by the same NPP party when they were in government. So they can be forgiven. If today in opposition, they think that we are operating using their, what do you call it, rule book when they were in power. But I can assure you that we are dealing with a president who is very sensitive when it comes to the laws of this country, and especially to the mandate that he's been entrusted with. And you know that if there are any issues that seeks to suggest, even in the slightest, that our investigative bodies are trying to undermine the laws of this country, I'm pretty much convinced that His Excellency President Mahama would have intervened and directed certain actions to be taken in that regard to protect the gentleman's rights. Having said that, when it comes to the quantum of bail, I heard my senior say that in the case of Wontumi, there was an Wontumi, the 54 million that was placed on him was done by the court. Yeah. And so if it was done in the case of, what's his name, Wontumi too, we should have gone to court. But Selorm, for goodness sake, we are all lawyers around this table. We know that when it comes to bail, we have the police inquiry bail, and we have bail pending trial, and in another case, pending appeal. Now, when it comes to the police inquiry bail, at that stage, it has nothing to do with our courts. And if EOCO is empowered under its acts to exercise their police powers of arrest, what it simply means is that they are empowered when it comes to the police inquiry bill to also set or determine the bill available. When that is done, it is not out of the laws of the country because the criminal code itself constitutes an essential element of the laws of the Republic of Ghana. And so if EOCO sits as an entity of state created by an act and exercises such power to set bail conditions, like Prof. Ajay indicated, based on the quantum or how serious they consider the crime to be, and set their bond, the fact that it was not set by the High Court or the Circuit Court does not mean that it is illegal and it's something untoward and it should be condemned.
Nobody says it's illegal. It's onerous.
Yeah. It doesn't mean that it should be.
I think the point is that
the point I'm trying to make.
The basis for it. So if now we are saying it's onerous because we don't know the basis. Yeah. Prof threw some figure out there that from what he's been hearing is around 500 million. He doesn't know that it's dollars or cedis. So per that reasoning, 50 million is reasonable. He is saying he has no such information. So the 50 million appears to have come from nowhere. What's the basis?
Absolutely. I can understand. I can share in his doubts when it comes to the amounts that have been thrown out. But the point I'm making, and that is for me, should be the focus. When it comes to the determination of the quantum, whether it is determined by the court or by IOCO, what I'm simply telling you that it is still legal.
Yeah,
And if you have any issues with the quantum involved, the law makes or creates an avenue for you to take advantage of, in this case, the High Court, for it to be reviewed. But you simply cannot say that if it is done by the High Court, like it was done under Wontumi, you wouldn't have had a problem. I'm simply telling you that even with the Wontumi case, Wontumi also had an opportunity to still apply against that bill that was set by the High Court.
Which he did, actually.
Which he did. So you are just fishing for excuses to be able to apply your political ambitions around the whole issue of Wontumi. It is not because you have an issue with the legalities that this government has adopted in dealing with the matter. You are simply searching for an opportunity to take advantage of to pursue your political ambitions.
I don't think that is
and
fair.
No, it's important. It's important.
What do you mean by pursue political ambitions?
But Selorm, when we saw them at the BNI headquarters, many of these guys are those gunning for positions.
Which guys?
In the new the likes of John, what's his name? John Boyd. What's his name?
Patricia PJ. They are leaders.
No. They are not the leaders. But you know them. We are the likes of their general secretary, who is seeking to be retained. Now we are told.
No, but he's doing the work of a general secretary.
No, but we all know. They all went there to show their face. They are going for re-election. They want to be given that opportunity to lead. But you see, like Prof indicated, it was needless. The law, most of them are lawyers. They could have taken advantage of the law.
Saying that? So, for example, when Chachu was being tried, we saw the Free Chachu movement and all of that. Was that needless? I'm sure
it was not. Look at how organized the Free Chachu movement was. Selorm, you see, that
even after Forson's case, we saw the minority then.
Absolutely, the minority boycotted Parliament. But we never besieged state institutions demanding the release because he was never arrested in the first place.
This one was the court, so they left the.
You can go and show solidarity.
But that's what they did.
No, but that was
because they were not
you
allowed
heard
inside.
them.
No, they were not allowed inside.
They said that they were coming to take their man out, and what we're doing was outside the laws of the country. You didn't hear Afenyo Marking.
No. They said they were there to solidarize.
We had gone there to meet officials of IOCO to have conversations.
Who did you speak to at IOCO before going there?
We don't need
that
to speak
we were
to
giving clearance.
We had given indication to IOCO that we were coming.
And let me give you a classical example.
No, we had given indication to IOCO. Please.
I allowed you to make it. When Koko Aindoho was picked up,
let me give you a sheet of paper.
President Mahama. I'm fine. When Koko Aindoho was picked up, we got in touch with the CID headquarters. We made arrangements before President Mahama left his house. And they told us the number of people who were supposed to come to the CID headquarters to engage with Koko Aindoho. We did. Silently. What all of you saw later that day was pictures of President Mahama with Koko Aindoho at the NIB headquarters.
But in Koko's case, I think there was a march.
Marches to the CID headquarters.
Did you see NDC MPs? As for the activities of party supporters, they can go and show solidarity.
So MPs cannot.
Oh, master. The kind of solidarity you guys went to do, you were intending to take charge of the processes to secure him. That's what you told us.
You finish.
In any case, let me go to but you see, Selorm, we are missing the fundamental issue. The legalities aside, what has to do with the danger, the conduct of the MPP poses, especially to our democracy, when it comes to issues of investigations concerning politically exposed persons. I have always argued that our political system, under the guise of democracy, has become so porous that all kinds of people take advantage of as a way of securing protection to continue to do acts that we consider unacceptable as far as our laws are concerned. And I can give you a litany of examples. We've seen it before. So we must be careful, especially the political class, to be willing to provide that level of protection when people have issues or questions to answer as far as their role in society is concerned. You see, Wontumi, investigations into the life of Wontumi didn't start today. You remember in 2010, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources then, the Honorable Inusa Fuseni, had cause to go into the activities of Wontumi. I am also reliably informed that within that same period, the national security was already engaging with Interpol regarding his illegal activities or alleged illegal activities when it comes to this car, what do you call it, the car stealing syndicate that has been a border even for the United States of America, amongst many African countries. So he was a subject of interest. In the midst of that, when the state apparatus seemed to be closing in on him, we are told that he found it convenient then to simply go pick up a party card and subsequently contest for regional chairman of the New Patriotic Party. At that material moment, going after him would have simply meant going after an NPP person that would have brought out the entire NPP machinery to support him get away with many of these wrongs. But my information also is that the national security didn't go to sleep. Even under His Excellency President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, remember, the Honorable Abu Jinapor had cause to issue a similar directive banning the activities of Akonto mining in the Tano Nimri forest. Largely because of questions around the personality Wontumi. Today, a new government has come into office, and in tandem with our commitment to probity and accountability and the fact that people must be held to account, the national security has activated its investigations into the activities of Wontumi. But largely because our politics has become so porous for the likes of him to penetrate. Now, we are all now talking about the political exposed nature of that particular investigation to the detriment of the germane issues that as a responsible society we should actually be looking at.
Exactly the point. So the national security, knowing all this you are saying, now knows that this guy has become a politically exposed person. And in order not to get the discussion or the matter degenerate, there ought to have been a better way of dealing with it. But let me speak to Richard Kumado. Of course, Franklin Kujo is on the line. Richard Kumado is a security analyst. He's worked with the BNI and other security agencies for a long time, and he certainly understands the processes that are used by these agencies. Mr. Kumado, welcome to the program. We saw what many have described as Rambo-style arrest, the Rambo-style arrest of Chairman Wontumi. First of all, tell me whether I understand Mr. Kumado is not on. We'll work to get him. But frankly, welcome to the program. You have been watching with your civil society and good governance lens. What does this tell you? The arrest, the manner in which he's being treated vis-a-vis the potential crimes that allegedly he might have committed. Do you think the process is fair to Wontumi, how it's been handled, etc.?
Well, good morning.
Yes.
Good morning to your good self and the guest in the studio and those watching as well. Well, I don't know. I have never understood why common invitations, or should I call them, common invitations to security services should turn into some sort of circus, really. I mean, these political circles, especially because the person involved is an interested person. And all of a sudden, we get into, I don't know, we get into an overdrive where political posturing is rather takes center stage rather than the orderly manner for which things ought to be done. And by this, I'm saying that I'm trying to take a long brush across this political divide. I've never understood when ordinary people are arrested for committing crimes. I don't see people massing up for, making noise and running around as if, why? Why are we like that? There are people
because these people are influential. They've been leaders. They are people who have a following, and so their followers will react.
And that's actually the very silly thing. Excuse my language. That we ought to ban such things from our body politic. I'll come to the issues of my layman's perspective of what the law should be. But it gets a bit irritating to think that people commit other crimes. and then they are whisked away or whatever it is, they are invited, there's no drama, there's nothing. I don't understand. So just because a political person of influence has been picked up, why? Unless of course the charges or whatever that are going to be preferred are quite, as you use the word, probably unfounded, then maybe yes, but I think we should allow the process to actually play it. I feel that, look, at the end of the day, we should allow institutions to do their work. I can understand sometimes the excesses. I understand perfectly, and this is where I like to make the point about, are you a lawyer? So you should probably educate me here. I mean, what's the difference between, what exactly does the habeas corpus principle actually tell us? If it is the case that someone has committed an offense, allegedly so, and the person has been picked up and then this bail condition has been set, what should the lawyers be asking for? Shouldn't they be asking for bringing the body to the court so that at least within 48 hours, after 48 hours, present the body? Because I don't understand. Nothing should prevent that particular principle from holding. Having said that too, is it the case that
but
when
I see habeas corpus will apply usually in cases of, unlawful detention. But we can't really say that this is unlawful detention. I mean, he's been held, bail has been granted. They are just trying to meet the bail
they brought the bill
so that's what so the bill came before the 48 hours.
Yeah.
So we can't say it's unlawful detention, for which we'll call in habeas corpus.
Within 48 hours, everything is legit, right?
So as we are now, everything appears legit. Everything is actually legit.
Yes.
It's now their duty to meet the bail conditions.
Beautiful. So while they are meeting the bail conditions, is it the case that the person has to be detained? That's the other question I have for you. Yeah. Why should we detain the person when why should we detain the person
because
beyond the...
When he goes, he may not come back. It may be a flight risk. Wontumi, people are saying he's not a flight risk. He may interfere with investigation. There are a number of things.
You take you to a bed and fly away or what? I mean, at the end of the day, the security agencies will be watching you. I don't understand this whole thing. I mean, to think that somebody will run up anyway, fine. Yeah. So until he gets the good condition, this gentleman will have to be behind bars for forever. I don't understand that.
Yeah. No, but frankly, the law also makes provisions. So you can go to court and ask for a variation of the bail conditions. Good. So you can argue in court that the bail conditions appear onerous, and bail conditions must not be punitive. And so this appears like a punitive thing. And so we pray the court to vary the conditions so that we can meet them.
But so these are the gray areas I want us to cover. Why don't you, after 48 hours, just let the gentleman go, keep eyes on him or her, wherever he probably has homes, you can detain him there or whatever it is, until he meets the bail application while the matter is being heard in court. I think we can have this fine line and then avoid all this unnecessary drama. Extremely unnecessary. By the way, kudos to the Pierre Kugi, who did what I thought was the most sane thing to do in all these noise. Actually negotiate, talk, and all of that. And I think it was wise. And to those who quietly also went behind helping to meet the bail conditions. Otherwise, my brother, this whole thing is needless. If a crime has been committed, please don't even. Why is the guy even shouting and announcing to the world that bro, Yakumi said that? I mean,
no,
look,
it didn't say Yakumi. He said Musori.
Musori. Are we at war? Are we at war? Why Musori Nkonya Deng? You know, and that's the annoying part of it. If ordinary people get picked up for things they've done, they don't call on their ancestors and their kinsmen and women to run around, go over the place and come and cause chaos. It was just very, very, should I call it, disruptive and quite unnecessarily, it's unneeded.
No, but I think, frankly, the point is that he's a politically exposed person again. He has influence, he has a following. I think the point he was seeking to make in that interview is that he claims that he was going through all of this because of the MPP. And so the MPP people must not sit and watch him suffer because of them. And so they should arise and fight for him. So I think that call, you know, I'm sure elicited some response. So we saw the minority MPs, including my good friend here, you know.
That was it. It did. That happened way before.
It's a call. So you are not hesitant, mobilized.
Can I finish, please? Can I finish?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so yes, the call was made. But the gentleman is telling us that he doesn't know that this Akonta mining thing has been in the news for forever. Even his own government sort of gave him out at some point. He doesn't know that there are other infrastructure. That's why I advised that, look, sometimes I think it's important not to inflame should I call it, raise tensions unnecessarily. Those things don't work. At the end of the day, did any of those, how do you call it, calls, did he use anything? It didn't. It really did not. So, and I think the authorities have stood their ground. I think it is important. All I'm trying to say is that let's not over dramatize some of these things. I mean, I feel very irritated to think that just because somebody is, it's not as if these politicians do so much for us anyway. Why should people run around simply because they've been called to? Why? Other people get called to come and answer questions and all of that. They don't call the whole village. So please, let's not raise tensions on that. And I agree. Some people just wanted to show that they are politically alive, and so they decided to get into this unnecessary overdrive and then causing pandemonium. It's unneeded.
Very well.
So they should go ahead and do whatever they have to meet the bail conditions and let the process begin.
Very well. Richard Kumado is back on, and as a security analyst, he's worked with the BNI, now NIB, for a long time. He certainly should understand this process. He should help us to understand whether the mode of arrest was indeed Rambo style, or, I mean, there's anything wrong with that in the circumstances we have. Hello, Mr. Kumado. Good morning. Welcome to the program. The arrest, the mode of arrest is...
Thank you, Selorm. Selorm, you had me out for so long. Thank you.
I will apologize. You know, the arrest, the mode of arrest, Professor PJ, for example, says that it was needless. We could have invited him and he would appear the same way CRE invited him. Why did we have to dramatize that whole arrest process? Of course, the IOCO may be within the law to do so, but the question is, was it necessary to do so?
Selorm, don't laugh. Let me say this one. If we had to be those days when I used to work with the BNI, I would have asked them to employ you for just 3 weeks, and we'll put you in front arresting a crime suspect. And when you go back to sit behind your desk, the levels of questioning would have changed drastically.
I see.
Number two, if you take away politics, if you take politics out of all these, and you take the noise makers all out of it, and you bring it into an arena of law, and you bring it into an arena of security intelligence and how decisions are made for nations, you would have realized that many of the things that have been said are flawed, and they have no foundations for being said in the first place. There's no standard procedure anywhere that says that when crime notice is served on a particular group of people or individuals, the only way to get them to sit before you to present the charges for which they are being investigated is through invitation. In the case of our brother Wontumi, what people have forgotten is that not long ago, you saw NIB guys in front of his house. And because they did not communicate what happened, people did not know that he was previously invited and he failed to show up. And that is why you saw that movement there. Then his lawyers pleaded that they will bring him, and they brought him. So that is on a different thing. I'm hearing the word Rambo. Very soon there will be Jackie Chan and there will be Bruce Lee. And we might be dragging the state called Ghana into the abyss. I have 29 years experience in this environment, from the days of President Rawlings, President Kufuor, many days to where we are now. And I can tell you, the security agencies are aware that whatever they do, outcome of their job can be litigated in court, or it can be scrutinized in the general public. I heard my uncle Apiakubi saying that Chairman Wontumi was arrested with arrest warrant, and if there's a problem, it wouldn't be for the investigators, but it should also be by the law. Then we had 48 hours, which they are aware of. The reasonable cause, I think my brothers and uncles in the NPP, is that they should have been mindful of the fact that the bail terms is not only the preserve of the court. That is why law enforcement agencies have the ability to do that. Then the third point I want to make is that, Selorm, in the SkyTrain case, we have a precedence where the bail term for one of our brothers was a bit too high, and they went to court and negotiated. So at the point where the bail term was slapped on our brother Wontumi, 2 options came up. Either you engage the investigators for something to be done about it, or you go to court for a review. But what we saw in the street at the offices of Yoko was not a reasonable action, and it was pure politics. So that is what it is. Forget about the Rambo style. If Yoko breached the rights of our brother Wontumi, I'll be the first person to tell you. Yoko have the option to take him to court, but they also have the option to engage him for 48 hours. And if they think they have more questions for him to be answered, they would have gone to court. Remember that the issues at the police is not the same issues at Yoko. And that is the general overview of what we are dealing with. But because it's so crowded by politics, we miss the steps, the critical steps within the line. And this is where we are today. And it's not helping anybody's cause. And it's not helping our brother Wontumi's cause, except for Uncle Apiakubi, who was making the critical points that, hey, we can do it better, and we have been well informed of all the processes leading to where we are now. So, Selorm, that is what it is.
Given the nature, he fell ill at some point, and that's critical. Couldn't we?
Selorm, guess what?
Yes.
For the fact that you are Chama Wontumi, and for the fact that you have been arrested and you are not sleeping in your house, you are likely to fall sick. For the fact that your businesses are on the line because of the nature of NDC NPP politics, you are likely to fall sick. If the charges that was put out there by the Deputy Attorney General, that you are being charged, you are being investigated for fraud, money laundering, cross-border crimes, and many of those things, you will be profiled. And we do not tell civilians that. You will be profiled internationally. And if you know that many of those charges are true, you will fall sick. Now, when the FIC, the Financial Intelligence Sector, said that his accounts has been frozen, whether it was his company's account or his personal account, everybody in the NPP should have known that Yoko would have come in, BNI would have come in, the Financial Crime Sector of the police would have come in. And I was surprised they didn't use the experts within their party to tell them what to do within these charges. You will fall sick. Knowing very well that you can be kept under the walls of the BNI, which are higher and thicker than your house wall, you will fall sick. Knowing very well that you do not have political machoism now, that the laws have catch up with you, and you go out there threatening everybody, but you do not have that power, you are likely to fall sick. So he falling sick is not out of the regime. And I have seen it so well. And Selorm, let me also say this on record. Do you know that if it is not the emptiness of politics we are seeing in this country, Chama Wontumi would have gone to hospital, his family would have been informed, his lawyers would have been informed by the security agencies or the investigators, and every case would have been handled perfectly. But if the law enforcement officers do that, because of the fragile nature of your democracy and the fierce competition within the political circles, it would have been blown out of proportion. So you see, at one point, we said we should reform our investigative bodies and reform our security agencies. At another breath, the people we are reforming the agencies to help will not allow the agencies to do their work. And they are the first people who go out there, misinform and disinform everybody. And we are back to square one. And so that is exactly what happened, Selorm.
I see. Very interesting points you have raised. So the fact that a person falls sick, that doesn't mean that you should relook at maybe if you initially intended to hold him for, let's say, a week, or maybe you gave him a bail condition, he's not been able to meet it, he's falling sick. That alone should not make you rethink the bail condition and let him give him a lower, condition so he can meet it and go home and treat himself whilst he reports to you every now and then, depending on what you give him.
There's a need to reform the bail conditions, but is it the responsibility of the law enforcement agencies? Is it not the duty of his lawyers to, number one, engage the investigators about the bail amount? And Selorm, no two people are giving the same bail amount. There are reasons and there are issues to consider before you give a bail amount. And number two, is it not a reasonable cause to go to court when we just have a precedence in the SkyTrain case? So why are you blaming the law enforcement agencies? The law enforcement agencies are human beings. I hold CIS expertise. And who said we, those who work in the law enforcement agencies, are not human beings and we haven't been to school? I have traveled extensively. I have worked throughout my whole life. This year will be 29 years. You don't think we know what we are doing? Is it not the duty of the lawyers who represent our brother Wontumi to engage the law enforcement officers and to go to court for the review? Why did they not do that? Do you know why the state security agencies have safe houses? Have you asked yourself who are the people who stay in these safe houses, and under what circumstance will the safe house be used? So many things we have done behind the scene, but these politicians will blow it out of proportion, and they are the first people to say they put out misinformation and disinformation. And I've just told you, when Chama Wontumi fall sick, he would have gone to hospital. They would have provided him with the best doctor because nobody wants him to die. He's our brother. He's a Ghanaian. But these politicians, they create all manner of problems within the public space. Then they come back and blame the law enforcement agencies. Selorm, do you know what we are doing? We are creating the premises where it will be very difficult to protect the state. And it will be very difficult for law enforcement agencies to ensure national security interest objectives are met, irrespective of whoever is in power. And when that happens, Ghana will be the loser and citizens will suffer. Where you borrow this democracy from, particularly in America, when the feds, who everybody is afraid, serve a notice that you have come under crime notice, and they're about searching your premises or they're about arresting you, do you tell them you are going to do galamsey or you are going to do farming, and when you finish, you report? When the Homeland Security or the FBI shows up at your gate and they announce themselves, they tell you their intentions, they show you a search warrant, and they declare the purpose for being there, do you tell them, you guys go, I'm going to visit my mother-in-law, when I finish, I'll come? When the Scotland Yard in UK or the MI5, MI6 says that you have come under crime notice and they are looking for you to answer some questions, do you dictate to the law enforcement agencies? What they do there that we don't do here is that they may come to the general public and announce certain charges against you, and they'll tell you that investigations is continuing. So at the end of the day, they may bury those charges against you. Would our politicians allow our law enforcement agency to travel the same path? Until we come to the center where we know that there's a role for crime investigations and the role for state security agencies to perform as being the role of politicians, then we will come to a level where political governance and security governance will match. And that is the core foundation of every democracy that has been sustained all over the world. Personal accountability, collective responsibility, being it on the side of the law enforcement agencies or on the side of politicians. But where we say politicians don't commit a crime, and when they commit a crime, they may have under certain privileges. That is why you have the Speaker of Parliament saying that certain privileges only pertains to this house, but it does not go out of this house. What is the point I'm making? We are jamming up the public space so much that it's making a mess of everybody. And the politicians are making a mess of themselves, and they want to carry their own mess into the law enforcement agencies and let it look as if the people there don't know what they are doing. And that must be stopped, and it must be stopped seriously.
Very well, great. We should come out of there. I mean, a message from SDRS, the council, the National Security Guard delivered brutal. He says, the falling sick part be the icing on the cake for me. I'm sure if he saw videos of himself boasting and touting his power only a few months ago, he will fall sick. Chris in Ashalibochi says, Selorm, where were those who are crying for Wontumi today when equally important folks were chased in a Rambo style under the past MVP regime? Some MVP supporters have already accused him of committing crimes against the state, and his lawyer kept quiet and all of that. You say that he's behaving like a first-class citizen. That's from Chris in Ashalibochi. This one from Sir Joe Baba in Bogatanga says, we are patiently listening and watching how the whole process is going. I expect the so-called legal brains and the hypocrites to remain silent when the day of retaliation is due. We saw and heard the loudest noise that was made when Oliver Bakavoma, who was arrested for causing distractions during a demonstration by burning car tires and blocking vehicles, including ambulances, from moving. Okay, so that's Joe Baba Bogatanga. Mausi IBI staff from Abuja 13, the Volta region, says, good morning, Selorm, and to your cherished panelists. The demand by the micro-minority to reduce Wontumi's 50 million bail for fraud, money laundering, and causing financial loss to the state charges, as stated by Deputy AG Justice Shrem Sai, appears inconsistent considering Alfred Woyome's 54 million bail in 12, which I've dealt with that already, said disparities are not political witch hunting, but highlight selective justice. Fairness should guide our legal system, ensuring accountability regardless of who is in power, etc. Yes, let me come to you, Isaac. I mean, a lot has been said. You guys went to the Yoko to sit on the floor, but were you there? Were you
I was
there?
there.
You sat on the floor as well?
Yes, I did.
And okay, so the talk really is that those were unnecessary because you ended up raising the political temperature needlessly, and nothing really has come out of that. Upon hindsight, you think that, or in hindsight, you think that was the proper course to take?
Selorm, let me put it on record that nobody in MPP or the minority or my person is against the state investigative body going after any individual, whether the person is the chairman or the former president or whoever of the Republic of Ghana. Crime is crime. So the state has the mandate to investigate anybody and prosecute the person without fear or favor. So nobody will come under political guise and be protected because the person is an MPP or should be an NDC person. If the state has an issue against any MPP person, like they are doing, whether it is SkyTrain, whether it is Wontumi, whether it is anybody, the state should go after them and do their work. The person has his right to be in court and litigate your matter in the court of law. And so this impression should not be created that people would be permitted to come under political guise, make money, and then you use politics to leave them out of it. That will never be, and we will never support that. But the most important thing we should check, you see, there's a difference between lecturing and realities on the ground. You can say all these beautiful things, but we are living within an ecosystem. We are living within a process where we have seen these things happen before, and people did not like it. And we've come to a stage where these things...
These things as in how? People being picked up...
No, what he's talking about, if you had sat in security class before or you are leading security, you would now appreciate whether the arrest is... we can go into Jackie Chan or what have you.
No, but I think he's talking about the characterization of the arrest. You guys have called it Rambo style. You're saying that very soon it will no more be Rambo style.
No, but we have rights. And if you want to arrest me, it doesn't mean you should breach my constitutional rights. It doesn't mean that you should.
His right breach.
The man was pulled out of his car. Why would you grab someone from his car, push him, and throw him into a security car? Warrant. It doesn't matter. But if you show me an arrest warrant, what do? You only inform me that I'm under arrest, and so I should follow you. If I resist arrest, then you can now bring in the use of force. I'm saying that at times, the way we do things, and he is a security person, I'm not attacking him, but I'm saying that we want to elevate our discourse when it comes to nation building to a point which is civil. The MI5 and 6 and then the FBI and the rest. Is that how they go to people's home and arrest them? You can go with all the security cars. Nobody has a problem. But it doesn't mean that you have to also abuse or you have to also trample upon someone's constitutional right because you are coming to arrest the person. So these are the fine things that we're talking about. And I'm saying, let's take politics out of these conversations. Let's take issues around whether when it was in MPP, why didn't we take actions against him if crime was against? Why would we even find it difficult as a country that in our regime, if someone is found culpable of the law, we can prosecute the person? So are we saying that under John Mahama's regime, everybody who is an NDC person who commits a crime, President Mahama should leave him for people to come and arrest the person and prosecute? But that is the way we are going. But when you clearly define the course of justice, devoid of political machinations, and it doesn't have to be said, it has to be seen to be performed. And so why it goes into people talk about political persecution, which is not what I am saying. I don't see any political persecution in all of this. If a state has an issue, go and again, the argument that you go to court, he said it clearly. You have a right to negotiate your bail conditions with the state body, which was what was being done. Until if you fail, then you go to the court to seek your variations. And so these issues of people being political, and then, of course, I'm a politician. If a party member is being, in quote, not treated well, I have a constitutional right to also take some political steps. And so going to Yoko, to somebody it will not be nice, to another person we could have done better, but it doesn't mean that what we did was also out of place. We were careful. I was there. I was part of the team that insisted that nobody who followed us should take the laws into their own hands and misbehave. Did you see any tie burning?
No, but a journalist was assaulted, we understand.
Oh, I don't.
Latif.
No, that wasn't the occasion. On our visit, no Latif was assaulted.
On your, okay.
Yes. When we went to Yoko, no Latif. Latif
okay, it was the
would
night
have
before.
been, yes, would
well,
have
there
been.
was a night before when party people.
Exactly. And we condemn those acts in no certain terms. And this is where we continue to advise our political followers that if there is a call for you to sympathize or solidarize with a party functionary, you don't take the laws into your hands and misbehave. And we continue to preach this peace and make these issues across to all the political divide. Because if we don't protect this democracy that we have, and if we don't allow people to be held accountable for their actions and inactions, then the state will be at a loss. And it behoves on me, yourself, my brother here, but the state should also act when their own people fall foul of the law. And we expect President John Dramani Mahama, when issues come up, we don't wait, because the moment you wait for a new government, then that is where the idea, that conception will come, that you leave your own people and it takes a new government to come and do those prosecutions.
I see.
Selorm,
yes,
it is interesting listening to the New Patriotic Party, especially when they are in opposition. They suddenly assume the cloak of nationalism, preaching from the high heavens that we must learn to do things in a way that is acceptable to all of us, the political players in the country. But you see, Honorable, you cannot have it both ways. First of all, you cannot say, you have not been able to show around this table an act that constituted a breach of our laws as far as the arrest is concerned, like he has indicated.
Yeah, but he said the way he was dragged out of his car.
Wait. Even if you have issues, I watched it. It was serene. There was some measure of respect. Because he was shown the warrant, wasn't he? And told to, and was moved from his vehicle to another vehicle.
How was he moved?
Gently, someone held him by the hand.
No, my brother.
No, but you saw it. How was he? Was he violently moved from his car to another car? Absolutely not. But in any case, granted without admitting that he was handled in a way that was unacceptable, you know that the law makes provision for him to seek redress.
But we can talk about it too.
No, wait. Yes, the law makes provision.
What we are doing.
So it is not enough for you to say that, oh, you are not out there to protect any person if the person has questions to answer. But when in actual sense, your conduct speaks otherwise. And I'm going to give you a classical example. First of all, the drama, Selorm, if you take your time and take the NDC out of it, you will come to appreciate that the drama surrounding the whole Wontumi arrest is drama engineered by the New Patriotic Party. I hope you listen to the lawyer of, what's his name? Api Akubi. Today, Wontumi is behind bars largely because of the very actions of NPP elements. Because according to Api Akubi, as at yesterday, they had secured documentation for the bail conditions. They were supposed to move to have those properties inspected, only to be surprised by another application to the effect that there was a need for the High Court to vary the bail conditions.
But
that is not
application
injunction.
I mean, they could
Is
work
the
both
application?
ways.
No, wait.
Is it an injunction? It's not.
No, it's not. But
So
you see,
operate as a
but
stay
wait.
there.
Exactly.
But if you listen to him, he indicated that made it a bit difficult because at that point, Iyoko was also
how did you make it difficult?
That wasn't.
if you allow me to, then you appreciate me. I'm not the one speaking.
Go ahead.
I'm just telling
But
you
the council
the challenge,
so-
because he said he was very successful in his negotiations, only for his attention to be brought to it. And so it really created some semblance of doubt as to who actually.
There's a lot of politics and internal politics at play.
That is why I'm telling you that it's the internal politics. Selorm, it's the internal politics from the NDC side.
He also has his own.
It's the internal politics that is
No, but
making
we
it
are now
difficult from the
talking
NDC
legal,
side.
so let's
Absolutely not. That's why I'm telling you that
legal
if you take your time, you would come to the realization that the whole controversy is cooked by the NPP, internal politics.
Cooked for what?
Only God knows, because that is the level of chaos that the party has been subjected to.
No, but we know that anytime
Stop that.
key politicians are arrested in this country, these things happen.
No,
so
but you see,
why should this be cooked?
No, but I'm telling you that, you see, had it not because of their own actions, I am convinced.
So
like
arresting Wontumi any day would generate this. We saw when the BNI went to his house. In a matter of minutes,
no, but you see,
we saw
it
people
must
came
it,
around.
and I see Franklin Kwojo asked that question. And the fact that it will generate that doesn't mean that the state authority or state institutions shouldn't work.
I'm challenging your claim that it's cooked. It's almost spontaneous. If Wontumi is arrested, so for example, Honorable will not be arrested, but in case he goes to his constituency, is arrested. His police station officers, all of those guys will go to the police station. It may be spontaneous, and it doesn't mean that it's cooked.
Let me give you an example. When we lost power in 2016, Chumbuafo was arrested at the airport. Chumbuafo is an important figure in the politics of the National Democratic Congress. Did you see us at the Iyoko head office?
No, but we have degrees.
No, when it comes to the politics, what do you mean?
What's his constituency on the ground?
We have degrees of grassroots.
Wait. The likes of Alex Mould, many of our appointees were arrested. We never besieged the offices of Iyoko. We respect them.
But some were also arrested, and I'm sure you went.
Even including our own national security coordinator at the time, who was in charge of our national security. They were arrested.
Koko Anyido, who was arrested, and
Koko Anyido, our deputy general secretary.
Because so it depends on the
But
connection.
you see, but the point I am making is that the fact that parties will react doesn't mean that the state institutions should not work.
Yeah, so
and I'm also making the point that you don't sit on this platform.
Yeah, the fact of you saying that it was cooked, that's what my issue is. Because we are now agreeing that almost spontaneously these things will happen.
No, but I say this was not spontaneous. This was organized by Afenyo Markin in Parliament
and
directed. Listen, but you just confirmed around this table that you attended there.
But why did you say that it was there?
I'll get there. I'll get to the story. You see, you are distracting me from. No, but
if you can't be on that.
Oh, Selorm, you are not allowing me to speak.
Land. Go ahead.
You see,
this is a very
no. You see, when you were quiet, when you were speaking, I was quiet. Honorable, when you were speaking, I was quiet. I can do that better. You see, the point is that we have around this table all agreed that what happened was within the remits of our law, and that if you had any concerns about the bail conditions, you needed to activate the legal processes, which you didn't do. Today, but now they have done. Yeah, you see. But the point I'm making is that when you decided to go there as MPs, you know, in another sense, that was also another breach of the public order, because you had no authority under our laws to be there. But because of your politics, we allowed it. But you sat here and said that you did not breach any law. But you and I know that you are getting away with the breach largely because of your privileged position. That's why you are getting away with it. But you are the very people who made those laws. And so even if as MPs, you cannot demonstrate fidelity to the very rules that you have laid for the citizens of this country to obey, then it raises serious questions. No, wait. It raises serious questions about the honesty of what we say. Again, you are saying that you are not saying that anybody, Wontumi, should not be investigated. We have not said that you are saying he should not be investigated. All we are telling you is that if you believe in the laws of our country, the very institutions that you handed over to us, allow those institutions to work in tandem with information that they have on Wontumi, until such a time that Wontumi feels that the security agencies are breaching his laws, then again, the law courts are available for him to take advantage.
Very well. Great. Franklin, I don't know if you have any change of mind, given the matters that have arisen from Kumado, from Isaac Buamanyako, and from Hamza Suhini, regarding the process, what ought to be habeas corpus, as you said before, etc. What's the way forward on this in 1 minute?
Well, I guess we must allow the should I call it the process to come to go. We should follow the process. Basically, that's what I'll say. And less drama and let's focus on exactly what we want to achieve. If at the end of the day it comes out that all these charges were trumped up, we will be the same persons actually going after these security agencies. But I do know, and I have a feeling that the people manage these institutions are a bit more restrained, a bit more, probably a bit more focused than we've had in the previous regimes. And so let's allow these things the processes to go. Of course, if we see any overreach, overreaches, we'll definitely call to complain.
Great. Richard Kumado, your concluding thoughts on this. For you, Yoko, national security, nothing wrong, and so they must continue in this regard?
No, I didn't say that. I'm saying that there are always rooms for improvement, but we must follow the law, and we shouldn't allow politicians to hijack the public space and go ahead with their disinformation and misinformation and create problems for people who man National Security Secretariat Council institutions. We are well informed, we are well educated, we've traveled the world, we've seen the way it is being done. And I think you should be speaking more to Uncle Apia Kubi, who is not acting today as a politician, but he's acting as a lawyer with a serious business of getting Wontumi out of the place. And I also want to say that my brother Suhini has found his voice. And tomorrow when he get into political position, he should help us and be in the middle. And he should not veer into politics. He should stay in the middle there and say it as it is. And that is the way nations are built. That in every political party, you have the liberals and you have those who come to the middle and you have those who are red-headed. In cases such as these concerning Chairman Wontumi, we need people who are reasonable, we need people who understand the issues, and we need people who should speak to the issues and make sure that our brother get home once he go to court for the continuation of the cases against him. But I can tell you for a fact that we have not done anything wrong against our brother Wontumi. His right have not been abused, and if he does, I'll be the first person to come here and say it.
Very well. Thanks so much, Richard Kumado. Just two messages. We take a break. When we return, we'll look at the matter of the CJ and the issues that have arisen therefrom. This one from Uncle Chris Akume says, "Good day, Selorm. Arrest can take various forms. The form of arrest of a pastor who is known to be peaceful should not be the same mode of arrest of a violent person." All right. This one says, Wontumi hasn't seen anything yet. He will experience prison. Then he will find the answer to who born dog. All right. We'll take a short break. When we return, CJ, interlocutory injunction, etc. will be on the plate. Don't go away.
The Ghana Traditional Council, on behalf of the entire Ghana state, announces the annual ban on drumming and noise-making as part of the sacred rites leading to the Homo Festival.
Ghana mamu, timfe anale, akese, imlae ni ko wogma dumo, wongmehe, wokusuni, wokabachuni,
The ban across the Ghana state will take effect from Monday, May 12th to Thursday, June 12th, 2025. However, Osu, La, Teshi, Nungwa, Tema, Boom, Pram, and Ningo traditional areas will observe their bans separately, with dates to be announced by their various councils. During this period, all visitors are required to comply with the following regulations. Religious activities to be confined within premises without the use of external loudspeakers, no drumming, clapping, or use of musical instruments in public places, no roadside evangelism or street preaching with loudspeakers. There will be no funeral or burial ceremonies within this period up until the 20th of June 2025. This practice is not only a cultural tradition, but also protected under the 1992 Constitution of Ghana, ensuring the preservation of our customs and identity. A dedicated task force, in collaboration with the Regional Security Council, Metropolitan, Municipal and District Assemblies, as well as the Ghana Police Service, will strictly enforce compliance. We urge all residents, institutions and visitors to respect this sacred tradition as we uphold our cultural heritage and foster social harmony. Nyacha, New Manyaba.
Introducing Betway's Bet Influencer, a groundbreaking feature where you can make money by just sharing codes. He just needs to share his codes and make money. The more his codes are used, the more money he makes. Oh yes, so what are you waiting for? Anyone can be a bet influencer. Share your codes and make money. Bet Influencer, another world first from Betway.
This advert has been approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Betway, get way more.
This June, the business wave is back and it's bigger than ever. The Citi Business Festival 2025 on Citi FM and Channel 1 TV, where it's all about business. This June, we will be celebrating Ghanaian businesses, re-examining our business modules and practices through our business fora, and sharing knowledge through our on-air business discussions. Make a business date with the on-air series every weekday at 9 a.m. on the Citi Breakfast Show on 97.3 Citi FM and 10 a.m. on Breakfast Daily on Channel 1 TV. From expert interviews to real-world insights to the tools you need to grow. Don't miss a single moment this June. It's the Citi Business Festival 2025, celebrating everything business. Only on Citi FM and Channel 1 TV. Your business, your future, your time is now. Stay tuned, stay inspired, and let's grow together. The Citi Business Festival 2025, celebrating everything business. The Citi Business Festival 2025 is powered by 97.3 Citi FM and Channel 1 TV, and it's proudly sponsored by Absa Bank, MTN Business, and Zonda Tech Ghana Limited.
All right, you're welcome back. This is a big issue just gone by. It's a discussion on Chairman Wontumi, his arrests, bail conditions, and etc. And so we'll move on and make progress. Now deal with the other matter, also legal in nature, that happened in the week. CJ Tokonu was in court earlier for an application he filed for interlocutory injunction to restrain the committee probing her, seeking to remove her from office, from working. She had a number of issues with some of the people on the committee and a whole lot. The court dismissed that application, and before that there were some preliminary objections raised, and the court also dismissed those preliminary objections. One was raised by the AG in respect of joining the persons on the committee on the writ. AG was of the view that it was not necessary to have those people, quoting from CJ's own depositions, that they will not be affected in any way. But the court dismissed that. And so that's where we are. But essentially, the injunction application has been dismissed, which means that the committee may go ahead and do its work. The CJ also, in the supplementary affidavit, which was rejected or dismissed, alleged that the process was not fair to her, and that, you know, the process was a mockery of justice. Her family was not allowed into the interrogation room or the committee room, etc. Her people, herself and her lawyer, were not allowed to come into the hall with their laptops and phones when the other side was in full possession of their laptops and phones. We don't know about those. But the court was of the view that given that the Constitution has said the process should be in camera, disclosing what happens or what has happened in the process to the public amounted to a breach of that in-camera proposition by the Constitution. And so they are of the view that they could not admit or take this supplementary affidavit. In any case, it does appear that they did not even seek leave of the court before filing the supplementary affidavits in support of their motion for interlocutory injunction. Again, let me start off with Franklin. Franklin Kujo is a civil society person, a governance person. He's been watching the space. He's still on the line. Franklin, I know you have to leave, but the processes this week have been pretty interesting. The CJ's application dismissed. The same court she's worked with, a colleague sitting on her matter, feel that she had no merit as far as the application was concerned. What do you make of that?
Well, thank you very much. And I feel very, should I call it collegiate in a way? I feel a bit sad for I can't say outgoing CJ, can I?
Suspended CJ.
Sorry, the word is suspended CJ.
Yes.
In any case, looking at the strictures of what is happening, it appears as if she's already gone anyway. But let's look. For me, and I feel a bit sad. You know, whenever you're in a position, right? I think it's important, and this is a lesson to not just the CJ, by anybody occupying whatever position, whether in politics or in the private sphere, anywhere you think you command some sort of power. Take a second look again at your own powers when you're in office. See whether it could be challenged. I'm not saying you should deliberately look out for ways you can lock in your ability to be checked out or investigated or whatever. But at least take a casual look at what you're likely to enjoy, the pitfalls you're likely to fall in, and actually what has happened before. And also take a good look at the things you have done in your previous life before you took that position. That gives you a sense that you've been guarded. And why am I saying this? If the CJ had been minded, and again, looking at the battles she's fighting, these are headlong battles. Partly why I feel sad is that her colleagues seems to have abandoned her. You know, it's like you belong to the union and nobody really cares about you. Even though now she finally sort of appealed to the union to say, so I'm looking at your faces, guys, won't you say anything? You know, if you didn't create those conditions and you didn't help yourself by looking at the possibilities of you also suffering a particular fate, I say, well, you're equally.
But Franklin, how didn't she help herself? How do you mean by she didn't help herself? How didn't she help herself?
Let me learn. You see, so I'm saying this with the benefit of the conversations that have happened in Parliament. As I hear, the majority leader seems to be suggesting that, look, the processes are not too humane, even though they may sound constitutional, right? And they are not nice. That's what he's trying to say, and that he believes that after this incident, the president would ensure that, or they would ensure that they carry a bill to the president that suggests that, look, this must be done in an orderly fashion as regards the removal of very important persons like the CJ. You get where I'm coming from. My point is, I've heard some people say that I think the CJ spoke somewhere. I think Laura people must have said that CJ, while she was in office, actually more or less hinted, that there are certain provisions that she likes to have a conversation with the bar and their colleagues on. I don't think she followed through.
That happened at her vetting. She made that comment at her vetting, said she would love to relook at Article 146 and have a conversation around those, yes.
Beautiful. Well, maybe she probably sat on it for too long. So I think these things matter, especially when she was promoting people who are who I'm not saying they are not qualified, but people who obviously, if you are waiting in line, it didn't sound as though those things were meritorious, right? Even her own self being taken over other seniors didn't look meritorious. So if I will benefit a beneficiary of such a process and I partook in an equally interested one where I suggested the president, let these people become judges. You know, you have to be careful. That's what I'm saying. Often when we watch movies, we take these things for granted. And I probably give a dose of what's it called? This HBO series that ran for several years. You remember I forgot the one that has the dragons and all of that. You remember the name? The Game of Thrones, right? People should be watching these things. You learn a few things out of them. Anyway, back to the issue. I feel sad that this is happening to her. And as I said, she didn't watch her rear guards to ensure that the things that she spoke about during the vetting should have been quickly, again, if you have a proper organized system, where you have people who look into this matters immediately, almost immediately, that's the way she have done. And I respected that man. When she was supervising her court, I worked with her. I was on the civil society there on that court. We were trying to fast track reasons why our commercial litigation process take long. And she actually asked me to do some work for her. I mean, I did some research as to why our litigation process takes so long and all of that. So I thought that coming into this office, you probably want to be sure that, look, once you've seen a very vital thing that could be used against you, or anybody could just bring any frivolous whatever against you, probably should have started that conduct far. So that's lesson number one. Secondly, I feel that, look, as of the complaints about the way she was treated and all of that, I can understand that the emotions actually weigh heavy. Your own colleagues are looking at you and they are like, Charlie, they are looking, baying for your blood. Every little thing counts. Even the way somebody looks at you may be problematic. The way that you get scanned may be problematic. I find it a bit laughable when Dami came saying that, even male security people were scanning. I said, what is this? Why is the guy talking like this? What's the point? Which also goes to the point that the person she actually appointed to lead there, maybe a better, more seasoned, older, matured person would have actually done the trick. These things are all negotiation. They are things that you do. So I can say that she also had some questions to answer. The way she went about the entire process, trying to court opinion, the public opinion. All of these also played a hand in the way the things that she suffered. In any case, what I hear that the unanimous, whatever they call it now, is a reverse. So all these people just said 50, 50, 50, and that she should go away. Charlie, at this juncture, my honest view is that she should just give up, because the way things are going, there's no way. I mean, looking at the way things are going, but anyway, look, she must also be remembered in the history that she fought. Maybe that's the thing she wants to write. But as far as the processes go, as far as I hear you lawyers say that there's nothing untoward about the process, I will look out for all these little ones, the scanner, I've been scanned at several airports by ladies, women, they don't touch me, they just scan me and I go. So I don't see the point. It's not a strip set, was it? So, Charlie, otherwise you'll be looking for all these tangential issues to cry over. And I don't think these things really serve the purpose at all. It's a bit pitiful and it's a bit sad that you say, for instance, that my husband should be allowed into the. These are things you could have negotiated probably with the committee or whatever it is. But again, I look back, if these basic things are probably denied you, then you should know that you're persona non grata already. Just you have overstayed your welcome. And as brutal as the process may be, it is the law. The law is the law.
Well, frankly, your conclusion is anyway. So so you don't agree with her when she says in paragraph 14 of her supplementary affidavit that the persistent violations of a constitutional right show that the whole proceedings initiated against her are a mockery of justice and a ruse to unjustifiably remove her from office as Chief Justice.
Well, let's agree, for instance, that some of the processes may be problematic, but eventually to get there anyway. I mean, if one process is probably faulty or whatever it is, these things are self-correcting. They could easily be corrected or otherwise. But that's what I'm saying. So the whole enchilada, if you put everything together, the things she's going through, the things she's raised, and all of that, and she's being ignored, which we can only sympathize with her at this stage. But as I see, this aren't too textual. You guys, lawyers and judges, are so textual oriented that you don't want to stray from whatever it is. So the mechanics of whatever is happening is the way it ought to be. And unfortunately, until it's changed, we can't help it. I find it a bit. Maybe she should write a memo, and then it will be a guide for future judges. And by the way, we should, as part of the reforms, and I suspect our good cousins, CDD, HK Prempe, must have probably picked this already. So he obviously is a lover of the Kenyan situation, Kenyan examples when it comes to jurisprudence, some of the things that happen in this country. As far as judges are supposed to be selected to the Supreme Court, as far as the Chief Justice is supposed to be appointed or selected, that process, what we have here is so fraught, it's so politicized. We should probably adopt the Kenyan system where well, Judicial Council submit after a thorough review, and there's open live, how do you call it, interviews that are conducted. Eventually, whoever comes stops, the person is submitted to the president, and finally the appointment is done. You know, some of these reasons are why, some of these problems of appointment are the reasons why countries like Mexico will go to the extreme where people are not supposed to select in an election judges. You know, so we need to reform our judicial system, and it's good that these things happen, and they happen so that they can help us. But as it is now, the law is the law.
I see. Interesting. Hamza, this, I mean, it does appear that all is set to get Araba Tokonu out of the way as Chief Justice. And indeed, she said so, that the whole thing happening is a mockery of justice to unjustifiably remove her from office. A lot of your people, party people and senior people at that, have made comments that suggest that she's gone or she would go. How do we marry this to say that the process is fair? Yes, we may be following the law, but if the people who are applying the law appear to have a view on it already, then that is problematic. So you can't blame her for saying some of these things.
I think that whatever it is that she has prayed the court for in her application, the Supreme Court effectively disagreed with her. And so it is out of the way as far as a legal challenge to that is concerned. But Selorm, back to your question. Thankfully, it is not the NDC as a political party that is applying the law. The law is being applied by His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, who is enjoined under our Constitution to exercise executive authority, failure of which may even lead to his own impeachment. So let us create that.
He's the leader of the NDC.
Let us create that. I'll get there. But it is not the National Democratic Congress that is applying the law.
It's the government.
It's the government. That's a government of the Republic of Ghana that is applying the law.
By the NDC.
Yes, but it is the government of the Republic of Ghana that is applying the law. And you see, I have had cause to make this reference to the Loretta Lamte experience. Remember that it was the same President John Dramani Mahama who presided over the application of Article 146 in the case of Loretta Lamte. And those applications or those petitions were filed by leading members of the New Patriotic Party. Yes, Richard Noama and co. His Excellency President Mahama did not say, because Loretta Lamte is my appointee.
Appointee of Mills, actually.
Of course, he was vice president under Mills. And when he won as president, subsequently, he decided to go ahead with to continue with her. So clearly, he did not say, because she is my appointee, I'm not going to apply Article 146. And the fact that the petitions were coming from known MPP members did not stop President Mahama from applying Article 146. Indeed, you agree that even in the application of the Article 146 in the case of Loretta, it eventually led to her her dismissal.
Yes.
The MPP,
she was removed from office.
Yes, the MPP hailed it. Today, thankfully, it is still the same President Mahama
and the same 146.
And the same Article 146. And in this case, we have citizens of the Republic of Ghana, not NDC members, citizens of the Republic of Ghana who have petitioned, intending to activate the vehicle of Article 146 for the President to operationalize in conjunction with the Council of State. Selorm, it is important to also state that even before President Mahama became president, this Chief Justice suspended had petitions filed against her. So it will be erroneous for you to conclude that this is engineered by the National Democratic Congress to get her out of to get her out of office as Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana. Absolutely not, far from it. And for me, I can understand when the MPP attempts to create that impression, like he has demonstrated around this table. They have political responsibilities towards their own political party and their grassroots. So sometimes they need to do it just for the politics of it. But even with that, we must demonstrate some level of responsibility, especially when it comes to our Constitution and our judiciary. And irrespective of how you want to fault the Chief Justice, I respected her decision. When she had concerns with the manner in which she was handled at the committee, she decided not to hold a press conference like the MPP would normally do. She resorted to the legal avenues by filing an application at the Supreme Court, demanding an intervention, but dealing with her concerns one after the other. Selorm, when I saw the application, you are a senior lawyer. One question that came to mind, and I'm waiting to get hold of the judgment, was even the issue of jurisdiction as far as the Supreme Court is concerned. Because when I read through the entire application, what I saw was not an invitation for interpretation, was simply an invitation for the Supreme Court to enforce her fundamental human rights. And I was wondering whether
that was the avenue.
That was the avenue. That was the first issue. Now, the second issue had to do with Article 148 and the stricture that it must be 1468 and the stricture that it has to be in camera. How can you be holding in camera proceedings and you expect your husband and children to be part of such proceedings? On what capacity?
The two shall be one.
But we know the law. So, indirectly, what you are simply inviting us to do was to extend an invitation to the petitioners as well, to have their families attend such proceedings as well. What would have been the effect of Article 1468? And the admonition.
Earlier said that she wanted to waive that right.
No, but see, it is not a right for her to waive in the first place. And I'm sure that the judgment will make that clear. Because it is not put in there to protect her person. It is intended to protect the sanctity of our judicial process. And that is tied to even the choice of venue for the proceedings. Because you are not just a justice of the Superior Court of the land, you are the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana. And so anybody minded about the sanctity of that office would be careful not to organize a venue for you at the Supreme Court building or the court complex. Because clearly, even your junior officers would see you on daily basis jump down from your vehicle and go in to sit before the committee. So they needed to give you that level of sanctity and respect. And I'm sure that is why they decided to choose the castle area. Because that facility is not a state security facility. For the purposes of information, it belongs to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It's a diplomatic asset. And indeed, we host diplomats there. So that should tell you the level of respect even the committee decided to accord that particular office of Chief Justice. And if you are familiar with the Castle Drive, that area, it is mostly serene, quiet.
What so better place? Intimidating.
How intimidating? The presidency is no more located there. I drive there on a daily basis. My office is around that sector.
A slave dungeon.
How is it a slave dungeon? People ply that road, but just that place is reserved, quiet, serene, ideal for a constitutional obligation on us to have in-camera proceedings. And so she should be thankful that this is a government that is even ready to provide a venue that is befitting of her stature as Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana. So where is that cry coming from? Where is it coming from? And again, another absurd, with the greatest of respect, prayer was the one inviting the Supreme Court to recuse the likes of Puaman JSC, simply because in the past they have sat on cases involving some of their petitioners. What kind of dangerous precedence is that? Senior Selorm, you know this. So today, if you have a case against me in court, and we go and sit before my brother, Honorable Isaac Boama, as a judge, and you become successful in that case, and in the near future, someone else takes me to court before the same Justice Isaac Boama in this case, I'm giving you a title.
It's a prophecy.
So I would be allowed within the laws of our country to say that because in my earlier case with Senior Selorm, you ruled against me, he has no locus to sit on this new case. What kind of dangerous precedence is that? And you see, it is not coming from just an ordinary member of society. It is coming from the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana, who presided over decisions at the apex court of our country, to be making such dangerous incursions and invitations for her colleagues to uphold. You can imagine the chaos that can throw our judicial processes into. So yes, like Franklin indicated, we all can appreciate the frustration, the anxiety, and the sudden realization that indeed the power seemed to be going. But it does not mean that she must lose herself in her quest to defend whatever allegations that they have brought against her.
What do you say to her claim that she was denied the opportunity to enter the place with her phone, even the lawyer?
Again.
But she claims that the others, the petitioners and their lawyers, had their phones. And
I
their
am
laptops.
told reliably that it is not accurate. That initially, the committee rejected what was the name? An application for them to have their phones in there, including that of the petitioners. And her lawyers made a strong point that they needed to access their law reports, and they could only do so if they had their phones and laptops with them. And the committee ceded and allowed them to go in, including that of the petitioners. So that matter was handled. And I think that the committee was a bit uncomfortable, largely because of the fear that some people might record the proceedings. But when they came with a counter-compelling evidence that, look, we needed to have those things in there, they were allowed to go in there.
Oh, so you're saying that contrary to what she's deposed to,
absolutely,
the phones and laptops were allowed in?
Absolutely. They allowed them in. They allowed them in. They were allowed in. And you can cross-check this. Hello. They were allowed. And so I can understand. You see, our mother is drowning. And sometimes when you are drowning, you try to hold on to
How do you say she's drowning? She's just before a committee she may come out victorious.
You see, when you are guilty, you don't need an angel to descend from heavens and tell you that you are guilty. You know within yourself that you are guilty. But she would have read the allegations.
Yes.
She has responded to the petitions. And if the petitions that were leaked by Asasi Redu is anything to go by, clearly, there's some wrongdoing in there, even in her own responses, where she concedes with direct reference to the travel policy that should guide them as justices of the Supreme Court.
Travel policy, I mean, I think it will be a matter of fact. We don't know yet. It will be a matter of fact whether she was entitled to do so or not. She also the view that she was entitled to do so.
No. But we have all seen the travel policy. She was not. We have all seen.
The other point the other point she raises is that she had no. She doesn't even know the basis for her prima facie determination. And I've heard people say that, yes, you responded to it. But there were a number of allegations. Some were crossed out. So on what specific allegations is she being held to? Is it all there over how many allegations? Because if some have been struck out, let's know. So I know where to focus my efforts at my defense. Nothing like that has been told.
You see, the point is that in the determination of the prima facie case, it does not mean that they would the same committee or the president in consultation with the Council of State will decide to strike out some issues. No. They would look at all the issues based on the weight of what is before them. They make a determination. When that determination is made, the entire set of application is forwarded to the committee to now deal with that fresh. The committee would now also have the opportunity to look at every single allegation, independent of what the president in consultation with the Council of State did. Remember that. So there's an opportune platform still there for her to contest each allegation that has been leveled in the 3 petitions against her. That opportunity has not been taken. In any case, I have looked at Article 146. That makes reference to the determination of the prima facie case. And the locus classicus in that particular determination, you agree with me, I think has to do with the case of Frank Ajechu, an Attorney General. Because under Article 146, it has not been stated that there's a need for the president to determine a prima facie case. But even if you look at Dr. Barr's ruling on that matter, he only gave a directive saying that, look, in reaching that decision, the president, in consultation with the Council of State, should make sure that they consult people who have legal knowledge as far as that particular provision is concerned. Now, we all know that per our laws, a former Chief Justice is part of the Council of State and was instrumental in reaching that decision.
We hear she abstained in some respect.
She took part in the decision. Abstention is part.
But if she indeed abstained, then that's rich.
We do not know that because these were, but I'm just simply telling you that. No. Sometimes when you can abstain largely because of the fact that she has held that position before.
But that's rich.
No, it does, and it does not say anything extraordinary because like I've said, maybe she would have had a relationship with a woman largely because of the fact that she's been a former Chief Justice before, or other considerations may have influenced her decision to abstain. Why is it that she did not vote? If we are going, exactly. She had every opportunity to have voted against. So that is the reason why I'm saying that we should not reach the conclusion because she abstained. It speaks volumes. But the point I'm simply making is that if you look at the Frank Ajetum decision, where has it been said that the president needed to forward the determination of the prima facie case to, what's the name? To the Chief Justice. Nowhere.
But you see, it may not be stated, but in accord with proper procedure,
you see,
rule of law, etc. I should know some things. You understand? I should know some things.
Was Charlotte Osei given a report on the determination of a prima facie?
No, we don't know that.
Because you see, we are dealing...
was not as open as this one, as in terms of the information in the public.
No, but you see, again, that is the point I'm making. You see, Selorm, we are dealing with the law. And in the words of the Chief Justice, the law is the law, and it's the law. What we are all asking is whether what is happening now is in tandem with Article 146. Any invitations to us to extend the frontiers of Article 146 is not something we can entertain now because we have no legal basis to entertain it.
Great. Honorable Obama, has any law been breached so far? Has any law been breached?
He can't say yes.
Why can't I say yes? I think these are interesting times for our democracy. And I say that what we are seeing today is very critical because at the end of the day, precedents are being set for posterity to be guided and to follow. Because this is the first time in our constitutional history where a Chief Justice of the Republic is going through such removal process under our 1992 Constitution. And so if she boycotts the process, we wouldn't be able to have the full end of the case for us to make a final determination to guide us. I am not going into the nitty-gritties of the petitions and whether they hold, because I've made my point known that for the removal of the office of a Chief Justice, the issues that should warrant their removal should be of substantial value. Not that anybody cannot bring a petition against the removal of a Chief Justice. But before the President and the Council of State would establish the fact that the process should be triggered to the extent of setting up a committee and then suspending the Chief Justice, the basis of the accusation should be substantial enough so that in time to come, if somebody also wants to cause a removal of the Chief Justice, there would be some hesitance.
The bar should be higher.
The bar should be higher. Safe to say that the President has the constitutional duty to trigger all the processes that he has triggered. We are talking about whether he should have furnished the Chief Justice with the prima facie determination. Why not? Because if you take Article 146, for the removal of other justices of the Supreme Court or the Superior Court of Judicature, the Constitution is saying that the President would have forwarded the petition to the Chief Justice. It imposes the Chief Justice to establish a prima facie before setting up a committee. And that prima facie would have been known to the person.
That's in the case of
other people. Exactly. So in the framer's mind of the Constitution, if we come to this point where in the removal of the Chief Justice, there was no establishment of the same standard of prima facie establishment, but by judicial interpretation, we've come to the point where there is a necessity to determine the prima facie before moving on to set the committee. It is right that basis of the prima facie should be made available. Because yes, you have laid about 10 or 20 accusations against me. But in the determination of the prima facie, you are convinced that A, B, C, D are more prominent to warrant your response or further investigation than the others. So when I'm coming before a committee, I would have gone back again to look at all the issues around them, get myself well positioned to come and defend myself. That doesn't mean that before the committee you don't have the opportunity to defend yourself against any odds. After all, the determination of the prima facie by the Council of State and the President is entirely different from the judicial process, which will lead to a final determination whether she's culpable of the issues that have been raised against her or not.
So then the prima facie determination results, if you like, or reports, may be immaterial because the committee will have to also look at the entire petition.
So the materiality of the prima facie is to give you a basis and a reason not even to focus, whether there was really a need for us to even proceed.
No, but that is not for your determination.
I'm not talking about her determining. Okay. I'm saying that
as public, it's confidential, it's in camera.
No, I'm not saying he should publish it to us as a public.
So who should look at it to see if there was a need?
No, at the end of the day, the fact we all get to know whether
No, Honorable, don't go dangerous.
You have been here telling us what is happening in the committee.
You want the Chief Justice to evaluate the President's determination of the Council of
I'm saying,
where has it been stated in our Constitution?
We are here and you are giving us information from an in-camera committee briefing. Yes. Where did you get the information from? Who is leaking the information to you? Oh, so you see, so already there are leakages coming from the committee.
The Chief Justice leaked it.
The Chief Justice told you that?
But she's told us that her phones were not.
For which reason this was?
She said her phones
No, but you are telling us material facts from the committee. That we should take it that they have all been granted permission to access their phones and their computers.
And so this amendment or this deposition.
So this amendment, yes, this amendment on oath is moot.
And it's not true. So
you understand, and this is dangerous. So please let me proceed with my argument. So now I'm no more interested in prima facie and prima facie. The committee is
now working.
It's now working. And then she triggered an injunction application based on information that is available to her. The concern from the Supreme Court is that these are in-camera matters that shouldn't have, and even raising issues about whether she needed a prior approval of the court to file the supplementary affidavit and so on and so forth. So all of those things have come and gone. Now the unanimous has turned the other way around. We were in this country when, before the reset agenda, they said they can't trust the judiciary. Everything about the judiciary is going against the NDC. What has changed? Those people giving them the verdicts now that they are so happy and championing and clamoring. What has changed? So you see, you bastardize the judiciary because their decisions were not going the way you expect. Now, the same judiciary, those that you are coming to add to the court, have not even gone through the parliamentary process. We just received notice from Speaker, and we are now going to vet them at the appointment committee. And the same judges are now handling the same matters and
delivering the
same unanimous decisions.
How many unanimous decisions have they delivered?
Have they delivered? Those so far that have gone.
Just one. The other one was a
3-2-2-1, 3-1. So that's the.
But this is basic.
So deal with this for me. The supplementary affidavit says that the committee refused to recognize her lawyer just because she was not personally present.
And that is so.
I don't know what she was thinking, that the lawyer was standing and talk for her while she was not there.
So that was the very initial stage. So you have an invitation to attend to a committee sitting. For any reason, you have a date and a time, like we go to court always. And for any reason, if the person who is accused is unable to come, the person would have engaged the services of counsel. So when counsel comes before court or before the committee, he has to show proof to the effect that he is the legal representation of the person, and the court or whoever the committee is enjoined to engage or entertain the person, unless the court or the committee have doubts as to the person's legitimacy. And so she found it incongruous that a properly authorized counsel who has appeared before the committee giving explanation as to
process services have been made.
Exactly. Would be denied access to participate without a physical presence. And I think these are some of the little things. You see, it doesn't change much, but it gives suspicion that this is not going to be a fair trial. These are some of the things that the individual may raise, or it comes to her attention that why am I being treated that way? Because ordinarily, what stopped the committee from listening to counsel? And then even if you want to adjourn sitting and ask counsel to go and bring her the next time, then counsel would have at least been recorded that you have come in, you stood in for your clients, we heard all of those present, and so for A, B, or C reason, we now want you to go and come properly with her. So the snippet of what is going on, and it boils down to the conduct of NDC prior to coming into power. They made those pronouncements. The judiciary is not balanced. We are coming to balance the judiciary. The appointment by the president legitimately so to the Supreme Court and other courts were skewed, and so we have to come and balance it. And so if we don't change the Chief Justice, we wouldn't have a fair person to help us perpetuate our cause.
Who said that we needed to change?
That was the commentary from your party before coming to power.
But party people may say a lot of things, but did those come from key actors of the party?
Well, the president himself said that when he comes
to change the Chief Justice.
No, I didn't say that. I talked first and foremost about commentaries by NDC folks, but the president's own words were to the effect that the judiciary needed balancing. And how was he going to balance the judiciary? Before you get the foothold into the judiciary, you need a Chief Justice who would work with you, who believes in your dictate. And that is politicizing the judiciary.
The petitions were not written or submitted by the president. Ordinary people.
Yeah, but you know how to engineer them.
So are you suggesting that it was engineered?
No, I have not suggested so. But if you look at the petitions and counsels therein in the matter.
Senior police officer.
Yes.
Who's a lawyer involved.
Yes.
There is Daniel Ofori. Daniel Ofori, I'm not sure anybody can manipulate Daniel Ofori. We know him and what he's done in business and in the courts.
So Daniel Ofori today, the matter he raised to what end?
No, we don't know. But
people have engineered him.
I agree. But I'm saying that to remove the Chief Justice, you have to go through a process. The process requires some petitions. Petitions has been brought as to who is behind or who is in front or what has orchestrated or engineered. I'm taking it from the angle that there has been statements to the effect that there should be a balancing act.
Very well.
And that balancing act requires a compromised Chief Justice. And that compromise can come
I'm not sure about the balancing act, but we'll take a short break. And when we come back, we'll look at the rest of the matter. This is a big issue. Don't go away.
Introducing Betway's Bet Influencer, a groundbreaking feature where you can make money by just sharing codes. He just needs to share his codes and make money. The more his codes are used, the more money he makes. Oh yes, so what are you waiting for? Anyone can be a bet influencer. Share your codes and make money. Bet Influencer, another world first from Betway.
This advert has been approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Betway, get way more.
All right, well, welcome back. This is a big issue. My guest, the Honorable Isaac Boamanyak, Member of Parliament for Ifia. It's a first-timer, but he's doing so well. And also Hamza Suhini. Yes, he looks like Al-Hassan, but this is not Al-Hassan. This is Hamza Suhini. He's a lawyer and is a member of the NDC Communications and Legal Teams, and is here as well. Franklin Kujo, President of Imani Africa, you heard him earlier. We're looking at the Chief Justice's matters, the removal process. This week, she lost an important application to injunct the committee hearing her matter from continuing. She stated a number of reasons, but the Supreme Court, in a unanimous decision, disagreed with her and so dismissed that particular application. So we've been discussing that. But let me ask you this. She wanted public viewing of the process. I don't know how that makes that. I don't know what you think about that. The law is clear that it should be in camera. Does she have the right to say that I'll waive my right to privacy and so the thing should be open to the public, knowing that there are other people involved in it whose rights to privacy the process must protect?
Yeah, so I think from the constitutional point of view, it would be difficult for anybody to permit such an exercise to be done in the public view because of the sensitivity of the positions, possible information, if not for what we are seeing, which appears to be so non-serious in my own view. Like, they are not issues that bother the grounds doesn't constitute national security matters or issues that can damage the judiciary so much. But you could have had instances where the cases that the petition would have raised would have constituted more grievous matters that couldn't come into public space. So whether they are serious or non-serious, the Constitution wants to protect that process by making it in camera. She would file those applications as a matter of wish. And that is why she's saying, I want to waive. But it is not about her alone. It is about the Constitution. It is about other stakeholders or players in it. And so I fully agree with the position of the court that this issue should be held in camera to protect the sanctity of the process so that if we're doing our constitutional review and there are other ways of trying to bring in possibility of public viewing based on certain criteria, then that can be looked at. But as it sits today, I think the in-camera position is right. It should be the way to go. All I expect is the independence of the committee to provide a level playing field and come up with judgments or decisions that would protect the democracy that we seek to build, so that posterity will stand tall and tell us that when we had the opportunity to vet such a process, and we did it with candor, we did it with professionalism, we did it in honesty, and so whatever the conclusions are, any reasonable Ghanaian, and that's why if you look at the composition, you have Supreme Court justices there, you have independent, ordinary Ghanaian citizens also playing a role. So you have justices, you now have Domolovo from account point of view, you have a military person in there, and you have a professor or a lecturer from Legon or so. So let's look at it. I believe in the wisdom of the Ghanaian. I believe in the wisdom of anybody that has been given an opportunity to serve this country. I wish and pray that it's not about what I want. What I want to see is that the final determination of the matter would be something that posterity would be proud of. And so we will.
I see. We've been joined on the line by lawyer Alex Kojo Aban. He's a private legal practitioner. He's a former MP and a former member of the executive. Lawyer Aban, good morning. It's been a while. Welcome to the program.
Hey, good morning, Selorm, and good morning to everybody there.
Yes. How have you been? How are you?
You're looking good. I've just been hiding in my small corner.
Very well. We've not spoken since all these CJ matters started. First off, what are your initial thoughts? Has any law been breached? Are we, proceeding in fidelity with the law?
Thank you very much. if we are just talking about law, the question is it that you have some provision in the Constitution or in some piece of legislation to point to, or we are talking about rule of law, properly so-called? That is where we have not actually drawn the conversation to. If it's about rule of law, whatever we are doing now, currently, for me, it's a mockery of it. And I'm going to explain to you why. You know, when we deal with rule of law, there are various building blocks that make that whole concept rule of law. One is equality before the law. One is that you are put before an impartial arbiter. Another one, of course, is that everything that you do must be referenced to some law. And whether that law sits well with the people, sometimes it is projected to say that if the people would, in a chorus, say, yes, this is good for us, then we are getting there. Because, mind you, we could still have a piece of legislation which would be used all right, but it may be very oppressive. The fact that you can have a piece of law to point to as the basis for your action does not necessarily mean that what we are doing is rule of law. And so if you are measuring what is going on now against the tenets of rule of law, I would say in blunt terms that it's just a travesty of justice and a mockery of the rule of law.
Really?
Now, yes, and I'm going to explain.
Okay, go ahead.
Good. So you see, we have ways of removing a judge, Superior Court judge, which is contained in Article 146. And in all this, the person to make the prima facie determination is the Chief Justice himself or herself, as the case may be. If the Chief Justice is the person under investigation, the body to make the prima facie, or the person to make the prima facie decision is the Council of State, of course, together with the President. I believe strongly that those who crafted the Constitution never envisioned that a time would come where the composition of the Council of State would be so partisan that it would stop it at nothing to achieve a political end and sacrifice rule of law in the process.
So that's your view of the current Council of State and how they have dealt with the process so far.
Exactly. And I'm telling you that if this case had been taken not from political lenses, but had been dealt with purely as a matter of law, the allegations that have been leveled against the Chief Justice would not have passed for what any reasonable, objective onlooker would say this is grievous enough for us to make a prima facie determination. I'm being honest with you. In fact, I'm on record to have said, and I'm repeating it here, that these allegations are not even weighty enough to remove a JCI president, much less a Chief Justice. What are the allegations? One, that the Chief Justice did not give a hearing to the Speaker of Parliament when Alexander Afenyo-Markin took a matter to the Supreme Court for determination. And what he took to the court was that the Speaker of Parliament had failed to observe the rule of natural justice in giving the 4 affected MPs who were required to vacate their seats on the basis that by their conduct they had crossed carpet. And so he went to the court And the allegation is that the Chief Justice also erred in that same, offense that was leveled against the Speaker of Parliament. Please, let us draw the difference between one who has been given the opportunity to give his side of the story and he has failed to take advantage of that, from one who was not even given the opportunity at all. Right? And in any case, this one, they took this to mean that the Chief Justice was incompetent. I think we are all aware.
But Mr. Van, you see, the accusations or allegations are many. We don't know which specific ones will hold water. And so to just pick and choose, or to just choose a few, which in your view will not hold water, doesn't mean that every one of them will not hold water. There are those on travels.
I was going to pick on each of them.
No, we don't have that time. You know, I just wanted your general view on it. The general view is established.
Yes, my general view is that all these allegations, okay, some of which bordered not on the personality of Gertrude Torkornoo, but bordered on the Supreme Court as constituted.
Yes.
Have been, she shouldn't have been singled out for condemnation, if I may put it that way.
Great.
Right?
But there were some specific to her. But let's fast track. Now, I see your view generally on the whole process. Now, this week, her injunction application was dismissed, but in the supplementary, which was struck out really for disclosing too much in terms of the in-camera nature of the proceedings, etc. She actually poured out her heart and said a number of things. And people think these things she has said are generally just emotional and not legal necessarily. So, for example, the proceedings or the hearing being held at a place she calls a security zone, the castle, and that she alleges that was a deliberate effort to subject her to mental torture and she calls it degrading treatment in violation of her fundamental rights. I mean, holding it at the Osu Castle, is that enough to warrant such a description from her?
I don't think so. Because I'm going to say, for instance, if he had been called that, okay, you have been nominated for the position of Chief Justice, you are going to have your interview, you would still have had the courage to go there. So I don't want us to even use that, the venue as a reason.
Very well. How about the attendance of the committee hearings by her family? The law says it should be in camera. You think that should have been put here or that should have been negotiated? I mean, should her family have been allowed into the hall or into the committee room to make it fair to her as she claims?
I believe that when we say in camera, it does not necessarily mean that it should just be the parties alone. At least if one person close to her, for instance, the husband or a daughter or a child accompanies her, I don't think they would have compromised the in-camera nature of the thing. After all, you go to court, certain things are heard in camera. There are judicial officers who may not necessarily be part of the process properly so-called. Yet, they will be there because they will be helping. But they will also hear everything. Is that not the case?
But for them, it's part of their everyday work. So it's part of their work. Because somebody really has to be there to do those jobs.
Yeah, but I'm saying that looking at it from that angle, it wouldn't destroy anything if you allow just maybe two persons to accompany her.
So it was a discretionary decision that the committee was called upon to make, or that the committee would have made, but not not a right she had, or it wasn't something she had.
I wouldn't want to describe it as a right. I would want us to feel that some of these things, it is human, okay, to even do that. And most probably, as at now, we all do not know, even though Article 146 10 states it that such processes should be in camera. There has not been any definitive judicial pronouncement on it. And I have not had the opportunity to read the preparatory works which led to that provision, whether it is for the protection of the subject matter, by this I mean the person who is being investigated, or it is for the protection or the sanctity of the entire process.
Entire process, I think.
If it is for the sanctity of the entire process, then probably those who have powers to determine who and who may be there will be the panelists. But if it is for the protection of the person who is under investigation, the person can say that I want to waive my right of that protection, right? Let people know all the crimes I'm alleged to have committed. But for now, no judicial pronouncement has been made on it, so we will take it as it is. But I believe that it's an area that may reoccur in future. The other thing that has also come up in this, which we need judicial guidance for our future activities, is whether in making a determination of prima facie case, the person who is making that determination has a duty to give written reasons for why he has arrived at that position. For me as a person too, I think that the whole exercise has also unearthed one thing that we must look at in future. That it is this, that should the Council of State be the body to make that prima facie determination again, having regard to the fact that now it has become so partisan. And I'm saying this and challenge everybody to check the backgrounds of those who won the Council of State elections in the various regions. We realize that most of them, if not all, are politically aligned to the ruling government.
Very well. Great.
Right?
But, yes.
And so that body has become so partisan that they will not look at these things from any objective,
I'll give you the final word,
lenses, rather than partisan lenses, right? And so I think that as at now, it has become easier, much easier, to move a Chief Justice than any other Superior Court Justice.
Very well. Great. Thanks so much for intervention, Honorable Abon, as always. Let me give you 30 seconds for a quick response.
Sorry,
great.
You don't need to say. Let him give you ticket.
Okay, first of all,
I've always had two.
Yes.
I've always had 2 here against myself. I never complained.
First of all, Mr. Aban makes the point that the allegations as contained in the petitions are not weightier enough to even remove a JCR president. You see, such conclusions are dangerous, and it betrays an understanding of the sensitive nature of our judiciary when it comes to our democratic stability.
Also,
even if allegations are not weightier enough to remove a JCR president, if we respect the stature of our judiciary and the importance it has on the lives of Ghanaians, we would not entertain or take lightly any whimper of allegation, especially considering the fact that it is an institution that goes to the core of justice delivery. So allegations may not be weighty enough to remove a JCR president. But such allegations, even in their form, if we appreciate the value of justice, should be enough to remove a Chief Justice. And I'll come there. You see, it is not for nothing. It is not for joke.
if allegations border on the decision of a bench, and because somebody is presiding
no, you see,
over,
but you corrected, you responded appropriately to that point. When you made the point that, look, the woman has not been removed yet. We have a number of petitions before the committee. At the end of the day, the committee in reaching a decision will let the president and the Council of State know the basis of those decisions and which of the allegations in those petitions that form the basis for such a conclusion. And so
that is if any.
That is if any.
Exactly.
That is if they decide that she should go.
That is it.
So until that is done, it is a dangerous incursion to run commentary, especially as a practitioner, largely because of our partisan leanings
But you just
That's it to
commentary before.
Wait.
everybody.
I resisted the temptation to run down the process because I understand as a practitioner that if for nothing at all, I should put my politics into the background. Please, allow me to land. Allow me to.
Yeah, you made some good submissions about the process.
Allow me, please. So it is a dangerous invitation and intention to take. So Honorable Aban must understand that where we are, we have not reached the stage where a determination has been made on the substantive petitions. So he should relax. And like he has beautifully done, as far as we are concerned, he has demonstrated that the building blocks of the rule of law has been met. What he considers to be improper are simply his opinions expressed on the quality of representation when it comes to the Council of State. We cannot authenticate that. These are his opinions expressed. But it does not mean that by
some of the people are partisan.
No. You see, but until we are given evidence, so they did not contest these elections on the ticket of any political party.
Of course.
And that has always been it since 1992. Are you trying to tell me that since 1992, those we have had at the Council of State have not had partisan leanings? Why are we creating this kind of problematic? And finally, you see, he made a point that President Mahama said he was going to balance. Look, this is important. I'm responding to two NPP people. You see, he made a point that President Mahama said that he was going to balance. President Mahama said that he
wants to make a clarification.
Yes.
The points you are raising now. So let's give him a few seconds. Lawyer Aban,
let me finish for him to come.
Wait, just 20 seconds on this, Lawyer Aban.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just 20 seconds. We are running out of time.
Why are you allowing?
No, wait. Look,
You see,
a quick one. Yeah.
You see, it's not about subjective views of people. And it's not because probably I'm aligned to a political party. Everybody knows how objective I am when I'm dealing with issues.
Very well.
Please, what we have to know is that we are all human beings capable of weighing the substance of allegations that have been made. And if the Chief Justice's answers that came to the public are anything to go by, they were answers to allegations. And so it means that we can infer from those answers the specific allegations that were made. And I'm saying that these allegations, objectively looking at it, do not qualify for this whole process that we are going through. But we should not forget that prior to coming into government, the NDC, led by the current president, then as candidate, had clearly stated that it would call for the change of the leadership of the judiciary to bring.
Did he say so, or he talked about a balance of the bench?
And the balance of the bench. Let me tell you.
But the balance doesn't mean
intervening for 20 seconds.
I have had a problem with the NPP. Why they did not appoint people like Sir Dennis, Sue Barre, and Senor Jamafe. You see, what is going on is that the political actors, by this I mean the politicians, they are getting our judiciary
politicized.
To align themselves with, and then it also leads to this kind of hypocrisy and all that.
This is substantive.
Let us appoint people.
This is a submission he has made.
Right, it's all right. I mean, we've run out of time. So thanks so much. I think your point is
let us appoint people for the quality of their work, rather than thinking that they are partisan. And so, please, if we want to go there, like the way they do in America, let people know their political
leanings are.
Then we can appoint them on that basis.
Very well. Thanks so much for your intervention. We appreciate it.
Again, I still emphasize the point that I still emphasize the point that it will be erroneous and unfair to the process if you seek to run commentary based on certain elements of the petition. It is just proper for you to wait as a practitioner for the outcome of the decision of the committee before we can begin to interrogate the issues that inform basis for that decision. And finally, on the issue of balancing the judiciary, I will not sit around this table and run away from that particular statement, because indeed, it was not only the NDC or leading members of the NDC who called for a balance as far as our judiciary is concerned. I know, even prior to that promise, there were leading institutions in this country, including the Afrobarometer, they did their surveys and indicated that there was low confidence in our judiciary. Their own leading member, Nana Akomia, had called somewhere early 2024, to also cry out about the low nature of confidence in our judicial process. And any responsible, please. Any responsible, any responsible party seeking to win an election must be concerned about the concerns of the Ghanaian people. That was not tantamount to a promise to remove the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana. And we have demonstrated that. They have mentioned the likes of Sir Dennis and Jamesi. That President Mahama has proceeded to now nominate for appointment to the Supreme Court. So that tells you that commitment. Even you as FPP people could not understand why these people were not nominated to the Supreme Court. And so that is the kind of balance we have provided to you guys. You should thank His Excellency President Mahama for
Isaac Boamanyako, MP for Efia, and Hamza Suini, who is a lawyer and a member of the NDC. Thank you so much. My name is Selorm Adonoo. Catch you same time next week for another exciting edition. Have a good afternoon.